Woo! The setup. Wait, well, you don't see that because the top chat's there, but look.
Oh, okay, I'm in frame.
Yeah, you're in frame. So I'll tell you what, I'll just probably move it over here. Uh-oh. Accidentally, oops.
Welcome.
Oh, it's like stuck on reaction. What the fuck? This is not good. Why is it doing that? That's so weird. Oh, is it pressing? We are here. What's up, everybody? Merry Christmas. God bless you all. Thank you all for tuning in. And I want to introduce somebody. This is my little brother, Christian. Glad to have you on.
Stream.
Yeah, glad to have you on.
Merry Christmas Eve.
Oh, yeah, Merry Christmas Eve. So the plan is we're going to stream till midnight, and we'll do a Christmas countdown or whatever. Until then, we have some stuff that is important to both of us and we both really want to talk about. We have differing views on a lot of things, so we might end up disagreeing, so there'll be a little debate maybe. But either way, it's going to be a fun stream. I hope you all enjoy. So, let me double check to make sure we're good on this live. Is important to both. Yep, alright. This needs to go here. Scoot back a little bit. Good to go. Alright, man. You know, I gotta say, before we start, man, and camera, whatever, you've grown up a lot.
Okay.
I really mean it, bro. I see Snapchat memories and, like, memories from back in the day, and I see how little you used to be, and I see you, and you're a grown-ass man, dog. It's cool. It really is cool. You're growing into a fine young man.
Don't tear up on the live.
But for real, you're growing into a fine young man. I mean it.
All right, thank you.
You know, we don't agree on everything as, you know, humans. You know, no one's going to agree on everything. But yeah, man. So, first of all, there's a couple topics that I want to talk about with you. So, first of all, Epstein's list, because it happened recently.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know the list got released, the files got released.
Supposedly.
And, well, yeah, supposedly. And I'm going to just take the lead on this. What we don't know, or what most people don't know, is that the FBI had a special project literally called Special Redaction Project. I'm pretty sure, word for word. And the redaction project was literally to redact the Epstein files. And so they worked in fast time. What was that?
Oh, it's your girlfriend.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I don't live alone, right? But yeah, so the Epstein files and the FBI, or the CIA? FBI, right? Kash Patel's the leader of the FBI. Yeah, FBI had a special redaction project, which literally was just for the Epstein files, right? And so these Epstein files have been delayed for months and months and months. When Trump got into office, before he got into office, on his campaign, he promised to release the Epstein files. Like, that was the main thing, right?
Yeah, I remember that.
As soon as he gets into office, he's like, nobody cares about Jeffrey Epstein. He literally said, there's a quote, I posted on my Instagram, che._.22 on Instagram. Just remember that. On my Instagram, there's a quote from Donald Trump, and it says, Jeffrey Epstein, someone that no one cares about. Right?
And he said that if you're any of the people calling for the release of the Epstein files, you're a moron. He did say that.
Yeah, and he says, I don't want your support either. So he's kind of screwing himself, right? First of all. But second of all, it's just the fact that you lied, right? And you're supposed to be this guy who's a billionaire, who's different than all the other politicians, yet you're taking the same money from the same people and doing the exact same thing. So, I want to hear your take on the Epstein files.
Well, I haven't heard about that FBI project redaction. What do you call it?
Special Redaction Project. I'm pretty sure word for word. We'll look it up in a little bit.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that. I've been following mostly the congressman from Kentucky, Thomas Massie. I've been following his, telling of the story.
Yeah.
And so basically, he was one that really pushed for this bill, the Epstein Transparency Act. So what he said is he released a video on, I think, last Thursday, the day before the act, went into the day before the deadline to release them.
Yeah.
I believe that's when it was, somewhere around there. And basically, it's like, what should we expect from the release of the Epstein files? And so he has had contact with all of the lawyers of the victims from the Epstein trials. Mm-hmm. So all the lawyers agree that there should be a list of at least 14 names of people, people we should know, celebrities, politicians, businessmen, other than Epstein, that were involved in the sex trafficking ring. And of course, that list is not anywhere present in the files. So Thomas Massie, there's another man named Ro Khan, I believe his name, from California. And also, obviously their constituents are pretty ticked off.
Marjorie Taylor Greene was a part of that group too, right? That kind of stood up to everyone.
Right, that, what do you call it, contingency or whatever. Yeah. That whole posse.
Well, because like from what I understand, it's the Republican has a majority, right?
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
But
they should be using it.
But like people like Thomas Massey and although Marjorie Taylor Greene resigned,
Mhm.
before that, it was people like that if they could turn just a few Democrats on their side, they could make a big change instead of doing the same thing that everyone else is doing.
And that's what they resort to because the Republicans are often so belligerent. So now what's happening is after the release of the Epstein files, or the quote unquote release, now what's been going on is people are pretty angry. And so Thomas Massey lately has been calling to impeach Pam Bondi, which is our Attorney General, who was responsible for the release of the Epstein files. And I would say hopefully that happens because Pam Bondi, I don't like her.
Thomas Massey
Yeah.
is calling to impeach Pam Bondi?
Yes.
Who is the reason the Epstein files are out?
Well, not the reason that they're out, the reason why they're redacted.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she's responsible for the release of them, but they didn't really release them.
Well, who's the head of the Republicans? The head of the House.
Mike Johnson?
Mike Johnson.
Speaker of the House?
The Speaker of the House. He literally said something along the lines of, we should release the Epstein files, but we should redact them for security purposes or something like that.
Right, and Pam Bondi has said similar things.
Yeah.
Actually said that, most of it's just, I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say on here, CP.
Yeah.
So we can't show that, so we should redact it. And if that was true, that makes sense. But obviously there's a client list, there's things that they should release. And Pam Bondi, like a week before saying that, went on Fox News and said, I have them on my desk and we're ready to release them. And then later came out and said, oh, we don't have them. She should be impeached. She's obviously withholding some kind of information, or at least she's just not trustworthy enough to run for that office.
Yeah, for sure. I hate to segue a little bit, but I mean, Pam Bondi impeached from that office for sure. But do you really think it's Pam Bondi that's the problem, or do you think it's Donald Trump?
Well, as far as we know, Pam Bondi is the issue here. She's responsible for it. But Donald Trump definitely has said some things like, you're morons, nobody cares about the Epstein files.
Yeah.
He's definitely at least trying and worried about it from the looks of it. So, not saying we should impeach him, but we should definitely push back on that.
From my perspective, I think Pam Bondi answers to Trump.
Yeah, I mean, he put her in that position.
And Trump clearly doesn't want the Epstein files to be released from what we've seen.
Yeah. But he did sign the bill. So.
Under that like constituency, I would say that the entire presidency needs to be impeached.
Well, first of all, impeachment's hard. I don't know if it's ever been done. If it has, only a handful of times.
It's been done. Trump was like the third president to be impeached.
Well, I don't know if he ever was. I think I know they tried to his first presidency. I don't know if they ever went through with it. But that's besides the point. Impeachment's very hard. And Trump, he's done more good than any other president in the past, I don't know, 50 years maybe.
Yeah.
I would say. I don't agree with everything, but...
Well, honestly, bro, this is my honest opinion. From the first term, I mean, I was younger. I was in high school, so I'm not sure exactly how accurate my perspective is.
Right, I was even younger, so...
But from the first term, everything was good, for sure. The second term has been nothing but problems. Every promise hasn't been fulfilled. And personally, I didn't vote. Obviously you didn't vote either, but because you're young.
I was too young.
Yeah, but like, so I don't really have like a say in it, as I would say. But the promises that Trump gave are not fulfilled, right?
Well, really,
not only that, he also betrayed his own base.
That happened in the first 4 years also, where he said he was going to build a wall and it never got completed. But he did try at least.
True.
But, so, first of all, we're only in the first year of the Trump presidency. Let's give him, a few more. But, it does take time to do some things. But, I mean, yeah, sure, there's a lot of things he went back on, and the Epstein file list is one of the big ones. But as far as we know right now, Pam Bondi is the one responsible. So she could be a fall guy. Yeah. But as far as we know, she's the one responsible. And, Kash Patel is probably involved with it too. And Mike Johnson, he's supposed to be a Republican, but from what I understand, all he does is platform Democrat bills in the House of Representatives. It's kind of weird, because I don't know if you know how House of Representatives works. I don't know it that well. But he's basically accepting Democrat bills and saying, let's vote on these, So it's kind of like, well, why are we doing that? We won the election. We have the majority in the House of Representatives. Why are we looking at... Why Why are we even considering Democrat bills? Let's just only consider Republican bills. Why not?
Yeah. Well, I think you should obviously. I think you should still consider the other side, no matter what.
But he's prioritizing them. Is
For
the
sure.
big
yeah.
concern.
To me, Mike Johnson is just another Ted Cruz.
Right. As a
And
neocon, yeah.
This is coming as someone who doesn't know everything, like knows a little bit for sure, and like does his research, but it's not my number one ambition.
Mm-hmm.
But like, from what I've seen Mike Johnson do, he seems exactly like Ted Cruz in the sense that, like you said, neocon, Judeo-Christian, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And just overall, I wouldn't say he's voting Democrat. I would say he's just voting for what the Democrats, the Republicans, the only thing the only thing they can seem to agree on.
I'm not saying he's voting for the Democrats, but he's like platforming their bills. It's a very weird position. If we have the majority in House of Representatives, why not only platform Republican bills so we do what... I mean, we won, right? So we should just do what Republicans... Not whatever they want, but we should consider their bills because, I mean, we have the majority. Let's capitalize on that.
Real quick, would you consider yourself Republican?
So that one I have a hard time with because of the history of the Republican Party. You know, for all of its existence except for the past 5 years, I'd say I hate it, but to be honest. But recently I've gotten a little bit better, so I would say...
Well, hold on. Elaborate on that. So, besides the last 5 years, you've hated it, but the last 5 years you've liked it or you've loved it?
Well, the Republican Party started out, let me put this, as the progressive leftist party in the Civil War, and right before the Civil War.
Okay,
And
so
Democrats was the conservative party.
I don't know much about the politics of the Civil War. Like, I know what happened, and I know the...
Right, we'll probably get
Both
into that
sides.
later.
Yeah. Well, we can go to it right now.
Okay.
So, the politics of the Civil War, how was the Republican more progressive and liberal? What were they voting for that made them more progressive and liberal?
Yeah, so the Republicans came about right about that time, 1850s, 1860s. That's when they actually sprang up and began as a movement.
Yeah.
The Democrats are pretty old. I mean, since like the 1820s, 1810s, around there.
Yeah. But they're not the first party at all, right?
No, the first party...
It was the Whigs or something?
The Whigs were pretty old. I think
The
the
Whigs?
first, technically, it's not like official, but the first were the Federalists and Anti-Federalists.
Oh, yeah.
That's as early as the first or second presidency. Right. So, so the Republican Party came about right about the time of the Civil War. And they started out they were called radical abolitionists. So they wanted to end slavery. But an abolitionist is not just somebody who wants to end slavery. That's what a lot of people don't understand. You know, a lot of people in the South wanted to end slavery. They weren't abolitionists. So an abolitionist, a good example of somebody like that is John Brown. You know him? Okay.
What did he do?
Well, he's kind of like revered nowadays, weirdly enough, by progressives. So John Brown, I believe in the 1850s, like 52 maybe, he raided a town called Harper's Ferry.
Yeah.
And basically, what he was trying to do was inspire a slave uprising throughout the entire United States. So he thought if I inspire the slaves in this one place, maybe it'll spread. And so he raided Harper's Ferry, and he recruited some slaves and gave them weapons. And oddly enough, the first person he ever killed, a free black man. So that's kind of funny.
James Brown. Or
John Brown.
John Brown.
He was the abolitionist.
James Brown's the musician. Sorry.
Oh, okay. But well, anyways, the story ends with, funnily enough, Robert E. Lee. Then not a general, but a little bit lower in the chain of command. But Robert E. Lee actually led the task force against him, and so he fought against our military. We fought back, and eventually we captured him and hung him. And he became somewhat of a martyr for the North. And so he's a good example of what an abolitionist was back then.
Wait, he just all he wanted was for slaves to uprise?
He wanted them to kill their masters. So it's a little bit more radical than just let's end it peacefully.
Yeah, right.
And so President Lincoln, he was a moderate abolitionist. I'll give him that, but he's still an abolitionist, still pretty radical in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
So, like one thing he wanted to do is he wanted to end slavery, of course. And he actually ran on not ending it. When he ran, he promised not to end it. But he ended slavery after the war with the 13th Amendment.
Yeah.
But the way he did it was without any preparation. He just said, "You're all free." And anybody who refused to give up their slaves obviously were, arrested or pressured in some other way.
Martial law, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Well, the North did bring upon martial law in the South, right?
Yeah, during Reconstruction.
Yeah. Okay.
So, not all people are taught this or know this, after the Civil War, in the years after, 25% of the freed black men
Yeah.
died of starvation because they couldn't work. They couldn't read, write, had no skills.
Yeah.
So they just died of starvation.
Where are these statistics from?
To be honest, I don't have the thing, but it's just from listening to historians over the years.
Okay.
But
So, like, you couldn't tell me for sure?
I couldn't tell you for sure 25% died, but I could tell you for sure that a lot of them couldn't work a job.
Okay.
They definitely were poor,
Yeah.
even if they didn't starve outright. One thing I've read from a book, it's called Lee: The Last Years. Now I didn't finish it, but it's about Lee, what he did after the war. He only lived for 4 or 5 years after the war. He's pretty old, but it's all about what he did after the war. It's an autobiography.
Yeah.
And one of the things it talks about is how whenever Lee returned to, I believe Richmond is where he lived, in Virginia or maybe somewhere else. It's been a while, but he returns home and he sees freed slaves, black men, and they're like robbing their previous owners and stealing their clothes, wearing them in the street, and like taking over stagecoaches.
Yeah.
I mean, just rioting. And they called it a celebration, but really it was a riot.
Is that, like, documented history?
Well, it was his observation.
Okay. But, like, whose observation?
Robert E. Lee.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And it's in this book called Lee: The Last Years
Okay.
that I've read like about half of it, to be honest. But so I mean, it's just they weren't in a position to be freed citizens.
Yeah.
Not everybody is in a position to be a citizen.
Hold on. Kasia Girl 4708, I'm watching and listening. Well, thank you. God bless you. Merry Christmas.
I believe that's Kasha.
Gosh, okay. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your
Kaja.
name. Yeah, I don't. We're not gonna get into that. The dog's name was spelled differently.
Oh, okay. I don't know
Yeah,
that.
it was Kasha.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty
Well,
sure.
anyways, where was I? Lee: The Last Years. Okay, so these slaves weren't in a position to be free. So that's really what abolitionists were for. Was
Oh, it's Bobshi.
Yeah.
Hey, Bobshi.
That's what I was saying. That's our grandma. So that's what I was saying. It's probably Kaja.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, so abolitionism at that time was very focused on an immediate abolition of slaves, whereas people in the South, like Robert E. Lee, he wrote this in his own letters to his wife, which I believe her name was Mary Custis Lee, or
Yeah.
Custer Lee.
Oh, Custer, I think. Yeah.
Anyways, he wrote this in a letter to his wife, is where I'm getting this, where he said, yeah, we should free them, but we need to educate them first. I mean, many of them aren't even Christians. Many of them haven't been to school, and it's just it has to be more what's the word? Like in segments, like more paced out. I forgot the word for that is.
Okay, I'll tell you what. We're gonna get back into this conversation for sure. I want to move on with our topics, but
I was just saying that's where republicanism comes from. It's from a
Yeah.
very radical, progressive stance, and they've slowly shifted more conservative over the years.
wait. So you're saying that republicanism is based off of John Brown?
Well, that's just a good example of what they believe. But that's
Okay.
it started off as an abolitionist party, which was the radical progressive of its time.
Well, I've heard about the party switch.
You're right, yeah.
When was that? After the Civil War, right?
No, not
Or during the Civil War? I don't
no,
know.
much after that. The
Okay.
party switch. I mean, it really depends on who you ask. Some would say, like, for example, Democrats started becoming more leftist or more liberal in like the 20s, 30s, maybe.
Okay.
But
the
Republic-
1920s?
Yeah.
Okay.
But Republicans didn't really become conservative, I would say, until Trump, really.
Oh.
Pat Buchanan is an exception, if you know him. But yeah, like even like in the Bush era, I mean, we were still pretty liberal.
So yeah, because Republican and conservative is a different definition, right?
Right.
So a lot of people think nowadays it's the same thing. But
Right. And I would argue that probably most Republicans, especially holding office, maybe not the voter base, but the ones holding office aren't really even conservative.
So do you believe that conservatism is better than liberalism? And could you define both for me?
Yeah,
from
so
your
I actually
understanding?
don't think those are opposites.
Okay.
So one thing I've been recommending to him is to read people like Thomas Jefferson, John Locke. They were liberals. They were also, in a way, conservative.
Yeah.
So it's a weird, I guess dichotomy or whatever you want to call it. So they're not necessarily opposed. Now, what we think of as liberalism today is what you would call social progressivism, or I think you've called it cultural Marxism. Anyway, social cultural, It's more focusing on interpersonal relationships, like
Okay.
gay marriage, like transgenderism.
Wait, so interpersonal relationships are bad? I
No,
thought.
no, no, no. I'm saying it's more liberal in those areas.
Okay.
But people like John Locke, the classical liberals, as they're called, Thomas Jefferson,
Yeah.
Patrick Henry, George Mason, and go on. But those people, classical liberals, they're more talking about liberalism in the government. So like, democracy or republicanism, but not like Republican Party, like Republic as a government.
Yeah.
Federalism, so it's more about having liberty or being liberal in the government. But of course, like Thomas Jefferson, he would have gawked at gay marriage.
Yeah.
And so and a conservative, real quick, a conservative is just somebody who wants to bring things back to the way they were.
Okay.
So that's the issue. Is a lot of conservatives nowadays are like, we need to go back to the 80s or the 50s. I'm like, let's go back to the 1850s. How about that? That's really what we should be trying to conserve is pre-Civil War America.
Yeah. So I really hate to get into this. I really
Yeah.
do. But I gotta ask, are you saying that gay marriage should be illegal?
Yes.
And that was quick. That was
Yeah,
quick.
yeah.
Okay, now hear me out though.
Okay.
Is it? And I'm not saying is it okay in God's eyes. I'm just saying is it okay as a society that gay men can still be gay men?
So I'm not saying we should send them to camps and be like, be straight, or something
Yeah.
silly like that. Obviously, I don't think the government should have any shouldn't coerce them or
Yeah.
anything. So they should be allowed to be gay, is what I'm saying. But when it comes to gay marriage, first of all, I don't think civil marriage exists. So the idea that you could be married without going to a church.
Okay.
You could be the
But-
idea that you
but
can be
you-
married just in the government's eyes, I don't think that exists.
Okay.
I think marriage as a sacrament only exists in God's eyes.
Yeah. So would you say that you don't even need a marriage license to be married then if you just go through the church?
Well, the church is subject to the state, so that, that's really a kind of niche topic you're getting into there.
Yeah. Sorry. Actually.
That's okay.
That is
I'll-
totally off topic. My
Yeah,
bad.
that's okay. I just don't know how to answer that, really. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that I don't believe in civil marriage. I believe in a godly marriage. So gay marriage is impossible. It doesn't exist. I just think it's gay
Okay.
marriage. Now, if people want to have gay relationships, go ahead. Just you can't get married because you have to be Christian to get married.
Dude, I can't believe we're getting into this early.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm learning every day and I'm trying to read the Bible and
Mhm.
just do the best I can. And one thing that has always stuck with me is 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 8,
Right.
where it says, above all love one another
Mhm.
because love covers a
multitude
multitude
of
of sins, right? So that's not number one, but it's up there, you know what I mean?
Well,
But also, hold on, I'm not done. It's just, also, I do want to say that, the Bible does make it clear what's right and what's wrong in God's eyes, right?
Yeah.
I just don't think it's our position to judge, or not necessarily judge, but to condemn, right? It's not our position to condemn.
That's
Instead,
why-
we try to, we lead with love, and we try to help our brothers and sisters.
that's why I'm not calling for gay relationships to be illegal
Yeah.
or anything of that nature. I'm not even the Bible has a much harsher.
Hold on. Bob, she has a question. Go ahead, shoot it in the chat. We'll answer it.
Yeah. The Bible has a much harsher punishment for gay relationships. I'm not advocating for that even. That's the more
Yeah.
liberal side of me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I don't think. First of all, I don't think civil marriage should exist, and if civil marriage doesn't exist, then gay marriage also couldn't exist.
So civil marriage is just between the law and the people, right?
It's just being married in the eyes of the state. Yeah.
Okay.
Now I'm okay with annulments or weird little legal things like that. I just don't think you should be able to get married only in the eyes of the state because you're not really married then, are you?
Yeah.
But, yeah. Go ahead and put your question in the chat.
Yeah. Real quick, I do think it's something that is honestly, personally, been something that I've been thinking about a lot. My view for the longest time has been I don't think that you have to go to the state to be married.
Right.
I think that the Bible is clear where it says man will leave his parents and lay with one woman and become one flesh, right? So they become one. And so once you lay with a woman, that's sex, you become one flesh with her. And also the Bible says the only reason, which is marriage, and the Bible says the only reason for divorce is abuse, abandonment, or
Well, the only-
affair,
actually, the
adultery.
The only reason the Bible gives us adultery Abuse and abandonment is something that we added onto that, but
Okay.
it's more of a tradition thing. But I do believe he's right.
Yeah.
But it's not in the Bible.
Yeah, no, I remember the talk. I was just taking what the pastors.
Right, yeah,
Sorry, not pastor, priest,
Priest.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would disagree. Obviously, I think so. Marriage is what we call a sacrament, just like baptism, confirmation,
Okay.
unction, which is the oil on your head. All kinds of sacraments. There's 7 in total. Marriage is one of them, and marriage. What a sacrament means, it's a means of grace. So it's how grace is applied to you
Okay.
via the church. So just
Isn't
like
it via God? The
well, yeah,
sacrament?
but it's also by the church.
Okay.
Church works through, or God works through the church to give grace to you.
Mm.
So communion, like eating any old bread won't give you grace. When you go to church and the priest says, "This is the body of Christ," and he gives it to you, and God makes that. We don't know how he does it. It's a holy mystery, but he makes that the real body of Christ,
Yeah.
and he gives it to you. You can't do that anywhere. You can only do that really in the church. So,
Well, I do want to say. So you're saying the bread, those little wafers,
Mhm.
right? You're saying that it's through the priest that it becomes blessed and it becomes the body of Christ.
also through God.
Well,
But yeah.
but God works through the priest, right?
Mhm.
What I'm saying, and
Well, I was going to get back to marriage. How a
Oh.
priest has to marry you. You can't get married on your own, really.
okay, well, what I'm saying still applies. What I'm saying is when the priest blesses the food or blesses the wine, the body and blood of Christ, right? We bless our food. God blesses our food when we pray over it
Mhm.
in the same way, right? So I believe, and this is truly only through biblical learning, no church tradition, nothing like that, that we could baptize someone in the name of the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit, and they would be baptized.
Well, here's something you have to remember. Who did Christ give the Great Commission to?
The apostles.
The apostles. The apostles were the first bishops.
Yes, but the Bible doesn't say that.
It does.
The Bible doesn't say there were bishops and priests.
So it doesn't use those words. For bishop, it usually says elder,
Yeah.
and for priest, it says presbyter.
Presbyter.
That's the Greek. It's presbyteros.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure the apostles also, when they baptized people, they said, "Go and baptize people."
I haven't read that. If that's true, that's interesting. I'll have to look into it.
We'll look it up later.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure because that I don't want to mislead people. That's truly what I think, and it's just
Another thing I just want to point out. I get we have differing views on Christianity. When you say, "Well, this is just from the Bible. This isn't from any tradition."
Yeah.
That's not like a good thing.
I don't disrespect tradition.
Right.
I think tradition is really cool.
I think
the
you
Orthodox
should-
tradition and the Catholic tradition both have a lot of merits. I just don't think that you should get your God information and your biblical information from them when you can get your biblical information from the Bible.
Well,
I think the Bible gives you everything you need to
in
know.
Proverbs, it says, "Lean not on your own understanding." Right.
Yeah, lean on the Bible.
It's your understanding of the Bible. You could have a faulty understanding of the Bible.
That's why you pray over it. Honestly, anyone that has a faulty interpretation of the Bible is doing it on purpose, in my opinion. I honestly believe that. Because truly, if you are trying to learn and you read the Bible, you'll find stuff that you don't understand.
Well, here's the
But
thing.
then you think about it.
When you go into church history, that's 2,000 years of praying men.
Yeah.
Who were some of them maybe less good, some of them maybe more good, and some of them inspired by the Holy Spirit, some of them not less inspired.
Yeah.
But the point is, it's just like if I want to learn about history, I go to the people that lived there. If I want to learn about Christianity, I go to the people that knew the apostles or knew the people that knew the apostles. And that's the church fathers. People who were in the generation after or generation after that, after the apostles.
Bobsy, we're still waiting on your question. Just type it in the chat. We'll answer it for you.
Yep.
Or we'll try our best.
Yeah, don't wait on us because we'll keep blabbering.
Yeah. This conversation can go forever, bro.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to disagree. But, like, what I want you to understand, because I know we've disagreed on this, like, privately, is that I don't mean it from a place of disrespect of tradition, of Catholicism, of Episcopalianism, of Orthodoxy, all of those different things. I think they all have their merit. And I've come to the conclusion that God has allowed all these different branches of Christianity to happen because, obviously there's some that are actually bad, you know what I mean? But But the branches that have minor theological differences, you know what I mean? I think it's because the most important thing is love and mercy and justice and the things that Christ stood for. You know what I mean? And the things that Christ died for. You know?
Real quick, while we're waiting on Bobshi's question, can I go to the bathroom real quick?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
I drank way too much water.
No, you're good. Go ahead. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed the stream so far. We're going to keep going. We lost track, but I have a list here. There it is. I have a list here, so we'll be good. Bobshi, just type the question in the chat. Kaja Girl will answer you. And, yeah. Lil Bro's going to the bathroom real quick, so we're taking a break. Oh. Okay. I'm going to read this when he gets back too, but if a couple of the same sex build a life together like buying a house, etc., and one passes away, is it right for the deceased person's family to take everything else? So you're saying, let's just say two homosexual men get together and they sleep together, they have a house together, they build a life together, maybe they even adopt a child together with the new laws and all that. Either way, they have a life together. And then they die, and they have no will, let's say, because I saw that comment. No will, and is it right for the deceased person's family to take everything? That's a strange question, Bobshi. Since they weren't so-called married.
Hold on. If a couple of the same sex build a life together like buying a house, etc., and one passes away, is it right for the deceased person's... Hold on. And one
passes away, comma, is it right for the deceased person's family, so the person who died, to take away everything else? So the person who lived with them didn't get anything.
Huh, that's... I don't
It's
know.
a weird question, isn't it?
That's
That's like a very specific... So, and then Mom, she's on the stream. She said, got to have a will, which is true. And then Bobshi said, since they weren't so-called married, question mark. So what she's saying is because they weren't married in the eyes of God,
right,
the person's family should take everything.
Well, I think one of the greatest ways to avoid weird dilemmas like that is just to get married the right way. Or stay celibate. That's a virtue also.
Yeah. I don't think that's answering the question.
I'm just saying that's a good way to avoid these very hard to deal with questions.
Well, it is a very hard to deal with question, but I think, honestly, I think it is right if there's no will for the deceased person's family to take everything, because that is blood family, right? So even if there was no will with the wife, if they're not married by law, I don't know. That's a tough question. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know how to answer it, to be honest.
Yeah. I was almost there.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a really tough question, Bobshi.
Best answer I got is split it 50-50, all the property. But what do I know?
Yeah, I think from a legal perspective, because blood matters more, I think that it would be right for the deceased person's family to take everything. But I understand what you're saying. And I think when it is legal to have same-sex marriage, then that wouldn't apply.
I'm wondering, what does them being the same sex have to... How does that influence the question?
Yeah, well, I think it's because what you're saying is that gay people shouldn't be married in the same way that straight people are, right? So
I'm saying they can't be married. Like, even if a state, like, even if a church or the state says they are, they're not. Yeah. I don't think it's possible.
Yeah. I mean, it does say be fruitful and multiply, and you can't multiply if it's, same sex.
But also, like, you can be married with somebody and not ever have children with them. You should have children with them, but you don't have to. It's just that that marriage is defined as between a man and a woman. So if it's not between a man and a woman, I just don't believe it is marriage. So, like, you can say, well, gay people can be married. I know a gay guy got married the other day. Like, well, they're not actually married. They just have a certificate that says they are. Yeah.
Well, see, but that kind of boils down to my argument, right? About, I'm sorry to go off track, but it's the same thing as where whenever you lay with a woman, you become one flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Do you then, if you're married in the eyes of God, even write it in the King James Bible, you know how they have that,
Oh, the
Do
family
you,
Bible.
do you then have to go and get a marriage certificate from the state?
No, I mean you don't have to be married, but you probably should for the legal benefit.
Yeah, but I'm saying regardless of the legal, because
If you got
there's
married,
there's some legal negatives too. You know, it's
if,
not all
if you and
benefits.
if you, your spouse or your fiance and a priest went to Mogadishu, Somalia, and got married there, that'd be just as official, just as good, just as verified, just as normal as getting married in America. So it doesn't matter. The laws don't matter. The civil laws. What matters is, you, your wife, and a priest.
Okay. Honestly, this just comes from differing theology, but I feel like it's you, a woman, and God.
But God works through priests.
I understand that.
That's the authority He's put for us.
Like,
So, like, for example-
I don't believe the saints were bad. I believe
No,
they were
oh.
good. You know what I mean?
So, like in the Old Testament,
Yeah.
God gave the Israelites Moses, then Aaron, then Joshua, and then the judges, Saul, David, Solomon, goes on and on.
Yeah.
He gave them magistrates or rulers or just people of authority. And in the New Testament, Jesus gave us the apostles, and the apostles, they laid hands on, is the word the Bible uses. We would say ordained, but they laid hands on the new priests that became bishops, and then they laid hands on the new priests, and that chain has gone unbroken throughout the centuries. So
But
priests-
there were corrupt popes.
Oh sure, yeah. So that actually is a long debate in the church. It's called I don't want to get it wrong. I forget what the heresy is called, but there was in Africa there was a big split over if a priest is sinful, which all priests are sinful. But if a priest is sinful and he gives you communion, is that communion effective? So does God bless the communion of sinful priests?
Yeah.
And basically the church, other than that little small segment in Africa, but the church as a whole, the consensus, the Church Catholic, as they call it, universal, decided that all priests are sinful. So of course, yes, God blesses the communion of false priests. So what you're kind of hinting at is, does God does a sinful pope affect or a sinful bishop or a sinful priest affect what we would call apostolic succession, which is where we have the line of bishops going all the way back to the apostles? I would say no, because ordination, just like marriage, just like communion, is a sacrament. It's called holy orders, is what we call it. So, if a sinner commits or does a sinful priest does a sacrament, it's still effective because there is no non-sinful priests.
Gotcha. Huh. I mean, I agree with everything you said. Nothing you said was immoral. It's just, I just don't have that tradition. Yeah, I didn't grow up like that.
Neither did I.
I know you didn't, but I'm just saying.
We grew up the same way.
The churches that I did go to when I was young was Baptist.
Yeah, me too.
And when I just read the Bible and just try to do my best. I mean, I don't know if always in the back of my mind, I believe in God. And
I think it's that
for a long time now, I'm just 100% sure.
I'm more history minded, right?
Yeah.
And you just never took an interest in history, I guess.
Okay, it's crazy you say that because I actually love history.
Well, you don't like church history from the looks of it.
I'm a big fan of history in terms of like world history, just because from being in school. But like, yeah, no, I guess church history, no, because I have no relation to the Catholic Church. I think it's really cool, or the Episcopalian. I have no relation. I have no root there, but I think it's cool. And every time I go to, the Episcopalian church that we go to, I think it's really cool and I like it.
Well, what I was getting at with that, as I'm saying, we both love the Bible.
Yeah.
We both read it. We both, have come to a conclusion on the Bible, of course.
Yeah.
But I didn't stop there, right?
Okay.
I went to the church history because when I look at the Bible, and I can justify all that with the Bible.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, I remember.
Yeah. But, like everything I believe can be justified by the Bible. I'm not justifying because, Saint such and such said so. I'm justifying because it is in Scripture. But I do think church history is important because, they knew the apostles. And they knew the men that knew the apostles.
Yeah.
Like, Saint, what's his name?
Well, I will say this. I admit that I've never heard anything unbiblical from a quote from like one of the saints.
Right.
I've
And,
never heard anything unbiblical, and that does say something. You know, I don't think that there is one single right way. I think the path is narrow, and I think that people in every single church, Orthodox, Catholic, Episcopalian, Baptist, whatever, there are people in every single one of those churches that are probably going to not make it. And there's also people in every single one of those churches that are going to make it.
Yeah, I agree with all that.
So I don't think there's any one single right way. I think if that's what brings you to God, that's awesome.
Well, I think we should submit to the authorities God has put on the earth, and I think
Okay.
priests are the authorities.
But Satan is the prince of this world. He is the ruler of the world.
Well, so is God.
God is the overall ruler of everything, but he has given Satan the power to rule this world.
So what?
So you have to understand that the world... Yes, you did make us think. It was a good question. I hope we answered it the best we could. Oh, she said she likes your answer better.
I've been reading it.
And then Mommy said, but what?
I think she's just calling you a name.
Oh, maybe.
But I think we should submit to the authorities God gives us, and I think that is an authority. And so is the Bible, of course. And the Bible is definitely the highest authority.
The highest. Okay, we can agree on that. Hell
Yeah. I just think priests are below that, and we should also respect that. Just like, I mean, you can kind of think of it as like your dad, my dad, is an authority. But like, let's say the dad is the highest authority. Let's say the president tells you to do something, but your dad says do the other thing. You're probably going to follow what your dad says. So it's like you can have more than one authority, even if they're not equal. That's what a lot of people get tripped up on. They're like, why do you care about church history? All I care about the Bible. Well, it's like, well, yeah, I just care about both, just not as much. I care about the Bible more. Richard Hooker, which was he was a theologian in the Anglican or Episcopal tradition.
Yeah.
He has something called it's called Hooker's stool, and it's like, imagine a stool with 3 legs. One leg is scripture, one leg is tradition, one leg is reason. And those are the 3 authorities that a Christian should have. Let's read this.
Yeah, so it said, if they can't get married according to the conversation, then they just don't get their partner's things. I don't know about that. Seems wrong. Maybe split. I will say, I think that in the eyes of the law and in the eyes of everyone's subconscious, I think blood is more important than any other type of relation. So I know what you mean. In the terms of like the other person is destitute and they have nothing, then I would totally understand splitting. But in the general sense of things, that other person is fine, and it should go to the family because that is blood relation. That is my opinion. It's yeah. What do you think?
Well, I know we're dressed nice, but we're not lawyers, so we're answering. Like, there's a lot of like legalistic questions.
That is a lot. True. But if you wanna
Yeah,
actually make a change, then you have to be able to answer these questions.
Right. I was just making a comment there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you would split these things. And like I said earlier, the best way to avoid these like very odd dilemmas really have never happened before
Yeah.
in the history of the world. And why they never happened is because, well, we just said gay people can't get married.
Okay. I think that it's hard to argue with you, bro, because like I understand, but you got to think of things from other perspectives too, in my opinion.
Well, if you want to talk about the Bible is pretty clear on it.
I'm not talking about salvation here. I'm talking about civilization here.
Well, the Bible talks about...
America is a libertarian country.
I would argue it's more liberal than libertarian.
It's home of the free.
But in the
freedom.
Liberal, I'm talking about like classical liberal. But here's one thing to consider. When was gay marriage legalized in America?
Pretty recently, right?
2013.
Yeah.
So you're saying America's the home of the free, and all that.
Well,
Land
it's
of the free, home of the brave. Well, it wasn't until pretty recently that we legalized that. So
the Star Spangled Banner it's the land of the free, home of the brave. And even though gay marriage wasn't legal, there was plenty of gay people, right?
yeah, I'm fine with that. I just don't think they can get married. So no point in saying go get married if you can't to get married. I mean, it's like legalizing it's like legalizing a man getting married to his dog. Like you can't do that. It's not possible to get married to your dog.
I will say this might not be as profound to you as it is to me,
but when you look at the story of Freddie Mercury, I know that's crazy, but the love of his life, he literally like wrote letters to her, the love of my life, Mary, like it was a real person, a woman, and they were in a relationship, and then he became gay on the road.
I don't know anything about that story.
It's just weird how throughout his entire life he still spoke to her as the love of his life.
And you know,
right?
he had that song, Fat Bottom Girls. We talk about how much he loves fat girls. I mean, like...
Well, Fat Bottom Girls is just a song. I'm talking about like his actual
Yeah.
life.
I'm just saying he
I was
liked
raised to
women.
think for myself. I raised your dad the same way. Yeah, you did. He does think for himself. He does.
So, what were we talking about?
Well, let's go ahead and move
Wanna
on.
Okay.
Let's go and move on. I want to talk about Charlie Kirk.
Okay.
So, I'll give my perspective and then you'll give your perspective.
Okay.
Okay. So first thing I want to say is I think it was, I don't know if it was planned, but it was some kind of culture war in the fact of people that have human decency and like care about human life, they were grieving, right? Because like, damn, I really just saw a person get his neck blown out.
And our dad was
real
a big
time.
fan.
Well, even I don't care about that.
I'm saying even he was grieving.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is even people that didn't like him, I didn't like him. But when I saw that video of him, you know, and the blood leaking out, like, it like hurt something inside of me. You know what I mean? And I did not like Charlie Kirk for the most part. I didn't like his views. But it's just so fucked up to make memes or jokes about it, right? And so you have two different types of people who celebrated and people who grieved. That's Charlie Kirk. This entire thing has been kind of a distraction because every time something major has happened in the Charlie Kirk saga, a bunch of money's been sent to Israel or Ukraine. Every single time, right? And I don't agree with Candace Owens or people like that. I think she's a bit ridiculous with it.
Real quick, Bob, say whatever you want. We're gonna be here for a while, so more the merrier.
No, yeah, don't be quiet. Go ahead. Keep going. But yeah, it's all fishy. You know what I mean? The entire situation from first of all, you explained the body armor and everything. So like the 30-06, right?
I'll talk about my theory of it. Yeah.
A 30-06 is a really powerful weapon. If you don't know your guns, it's a really powerful weapon. And from that range, if you shot someone with a 30-06, it would completely detach their skull from their body. Like maybe a piece of skin would be hanging it, and it would be right. My head would be right there. You know what I'm saying? But his had no exit wound. It didn't even leave the body. And so his theory was that it hit his body armor.
You can see the shirt jump like that.
And went up and like stopped inside the brain or whatever.
Right. That explains why it was so instant. Because it wouldn't have been instant if you got shot in the neck. Shot through the neck, I mean.
Yeah, but do you believe the Tyler Robinson story?
Here's what I will say. I think the FBI, especially Kash Patel, is just they're all real. What's the word? What am I looking for? Incompetent.
Yeah.
Like they're
incompetent.
Yeah, incompetent, and they're just not fit for the job. And anything the FBI lays their hands on is going to seem fishy, just because they're not good at their job. So,
yeah,
I think Tyler Robinson. I actually don't think he was like a special agent or some like heavily trained gun. I mean, that shot that he made, actually, I mean, people seem like it's that impressive. And
it's not impressive.
It's not impressive. We can make that shot.
It's an easy shot. Well,
and we're not.
I could make that shot even if it was impressive. But I could definitely make that shot.
We're not a big gun family, big hunting family. We do it, but not excessively.
Every now and again,
yeah.
we're fishermen.
Mostly, yeah. So, but even we could do that. It's not that hard of a shot, really. I mean, what was it, like 400 feet with a scope?
I think it was 300.
Something like that.
Yeah, a 30-06. That's, yeah. No, I don't agree with that narrative.
If he hit him in the center mass in the chest, which I believe he did, that would make it a lot easier. Also, people were saying like, well, only like a trained sniper could hit somebody in the neck. Well, I don't think he did hit him in the neck. So
you don't even think he was aiming for the neck. You think he was aiming for the heart or something?
I think he was aiming for center mass, which is like that's what anybody would do, and it just very unluckily went up into his head.
Yeah.
Because it seemed he had a.
So you think Tyler Robinson shot him?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Honestly, I don't disagree with you. I think it's very possible, but I just don't want to discredit any other views because they do make some good points. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, like, he disassembled his gun, put it back together. The Discord chats seem all weird.
That's
Like,
true. Discord chats do
The
seem weird.
FBI is, you know, and
But
so,
the Discord chats, they also seem like kind of like I don't want to say something mean or not mean, but like I don't want to say something inaccurate, but like they like people are saying like they talk so formal, but like it's kind of like sheltered, hermit
yeah.
vernacular. Like when you don't speak to people on on a regular basis, you probably will sound like that. Like he's like saying stuff like my lady, like weird stuff like that. That's kind of like on par with that kind of person, in my opinion. But what I'm saying is that I think the University of Utah, the university, they're trying to, probably trying to cover some stuff up because it doesn't look good for them, to have that such low security.
Well, speaking of the university.
Well, hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
And also the FBI, of course, is just
Yeah.
incompetent. I mean, it took them like 2 days to find the guy. That's
Yeah.
inexcusable. I mean, so anything they touch is gonna seem fishy. And the FBI has done some stuff in the past, which definitely was fishy. I don't think we should have an FBI at all.
I was going to say, do you think we should abolish them?
Yeah.
Who would do what they do?
Well, here's something fun. The FBI was created to hunt communists illegally. They would like bust down doors without warrants. I mean, it was a witch hunt. It was a witch hunt group.
Yeah.
And I don't like communists, but it was a witch hunt group. I mean, they shouldn't exist in the first place.
Yeah.
But the question you're asking is, without the FBI, somebody committed crimes across state lines and that'd be good. I don't think that should happen. So, in a perfect world, what would happen is the states would work with each other more. The state police departments would work with each other more.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't need a federal Bureau of Investigation. You would just have, state FBIs.
Yeah.
So, you'd have state investigations and they'd work with each other.
Look, I hate to derail this, but we can get back to Charlie Kirk.
Right. So, yeah, but anything the FBI lays their hands on is going to seem fishy.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that. And so it's like, can you blame someone for being skeptical about the official story?
No, you can't blame them. I just don't think they're right.
How could you believe the official story when all these different things are happening? Like,
I don't believe the official story. I'm not saying I do, but like I said, the FBI is untrustworthy.
okay.
What I'm saying is I don't buy into the conspiracy theories, especially the ones that slander Charlie Kirk. A lot of them do. Like, for example...
Really?
Oh, yeah. Like, for example, anybody who casts doubt on Erica Kirk. Not saying that... No, like, for example, if you said she should be at home with her kids, I get that. If you say she's not fit for the job that Charlie left her, I get that. If you say she's saying stupid stuff just because she's, not media trained, all those kind of things, that's fine. But when you say that she has something fishy going on, like she's like, double agent or whatever, then what you're saying is Charlie picked a bad wife. That's kind of a mark on him. I don't like that.
Well, I'll be honest, man. I don't disrespect Charlie Kirk at all. But what I will say is that's what I was trying to explain to you earlier, off stream, is that Erica Kirk started out in Trump's beauty pageant, right? She knew Trump, like met him, everything, was friends with him. She won the beauty pageant. She got money to go to Romania, and apparently it was a Christian organization, but a lot of children did go missing in that time. Like, it was, coincidental? Possibly, but it's just a little weird. And then moving on, even in interviews, she said, like, she never dated before Charlie. She never dated. It was like a miracle that they met. But she's in music videos with boyfriends. There's plenty of posts showing that she was with people and dating. She's on a reality TV show dating someone.
Here's the thing.
Hold on, I'm not done.
Okay.
I'm not done, man. On top of that, they said that how they met was just kind of crazy. But they met through Peter Thiel and the pro-Israel lobby. Someone hooked them up.
Yeah, that's not that crazy to me. I mean, she was at a Turning Point event, and maybe she was well known or whatever to some people, and they're like, "Hey, have you met Charlie? Let's go backstage and meet Charlie." I mean, that's like a normal thing. I was explaining to him off stream that I've met not somebody as big as Charlie Kirk, but I've met pretty big people. I've met state reps. I've met
Say the name.
Well, I don't want to slander her, but in case, because obviously we disagree on all this stuff. I've met Shelley Luther, is her name, the state representative from Texas, which is where we're from. I've met some of the biggest donors to the Republican Party. I met some pretty big people.
Israelis?
No, they were American.
Are they the biggest donors?
I believe one of them was third biggest. I don't know about the other two, but they were all donors.
Hmm.
Just pretty big ones. One of them was like third biggest.
Wow.
But not of all time, just of this year or last year.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, what I'm saying is it's not crazy necessarily to meet people like that. But really, what these conspiracy theories boil down to is Charlie wasn't stupid. Okay,
I agree.
He was very intelligent.
Yeah.
If you think that guy could live, I don't know, 5, 10, 12, 15 years with that woman and not know something was up with her, come on. So now what you're saying is that obviously he knew something was up with her if something was up. So what you're saying is he was okay with that? I don't buy that.
Well, he at first was pro-Israel.
Yeah.
And then he became.
He shifted towards the anti-Israel.
He was shifting towards anti-Israel at the time of his death. Like
Right.
for a couple weeks before then, he made a lot of weird statements. Popsy says, "I didn't care for Charlie Kirk, but what happened was horrific and shouldn't have happened. I've always had a bad vibe about her." See? Thank you. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just truly think there's something fishy going on with her because there's so many different things like what I just pointed out.
Like I said, if you think she's unprepared, if you think she's stupid, even
Yeah.
that's all fine. But whenever you insinuate that she has like ulterior motives, that's slander against Charlie, which I think Charlie was a good person. Even if we disagreed, I think he was a good person.
I think he was a good person. I agree.
I think he was
What
smart.
I'm saying is he used to be pro-Israel, and then just right before his death, a couple weeks, he was shifting towards anti-Israel. So during that time, whenever he was pro-Israel, which is his entire marriage and most of his life, he wouldn't have known that Erica was Israel first, like in a bad way. You know what I mean?
No.
He wouldn't have understood. He wouldn't have known that something was wrong with his wife because nothing was wrong with his wife at that time.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if you think that she, like for example, is like a slave to foreign donors or something, like Charlie wasn't for that.
Well,
Never was for that.
Charlie did have some Jewish donors.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying he was never a fan of like foreign lobbies and that kind of thing. As far as I know.
He did defend AIPAC. I mean, for a long time he was not good.
Okay.
And then and that's why I disliked him. And then I noticed he started to shift, and then all of a sudden he died. And I was like, damn, that's so crazy. So that's just from my perspective.
Yeah.
Because you can't see those things and then not think anything about it. You know what I mean? It's kind of crazy.
I also think after his death, we saw all the leftists on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram celebrating, cheering. Right?
Yeah. Like I was saying, people
If they will cheer for his death, how is it so hard to believe? I'm not saying that you find this hard to believe, but a lot of people actually do. That's why conspiracy theories exist. Why is it so hard to believe that a leftist would kill him? Like Tyler Robinson. Who obviously was a leftist. I mean, he had a trans girlfriend, boyfriend, something.
Especially after Luigi Mangione.
Right.
After someone else already.
He was also
did it to
celebrated.
someone. Yeah. So it's very possible. Yeah. I think that it's very possible that the real story is true. It's very possible that the real story isn't true. And I think that what's most important is not letting it divide us as a culture, right? We shouldn't be fighting culture wars. We should be fighting us against them. It's very simple. The people, the common people of the world, versus the elites that don't care about us and make us fight wars against each other and kill us all the time and poison us and all these different things. It's us against them. It's not us against us.
I don't think that's necessarily true either. Because Thomas Massey's an elite. I like him. I mean, he's less elite than like.
Is Thomas
Mike
Massey an
Johnson.
elite? Does he do inside trading like Nancy Pelosi?
No, but he does. He does have a lot of money because he worked for it. I mean, he invented like some VR technology.
Okay.
But I mean, he went to MIT.
Yeah.
And of course, he works on a farm now.
Well, you tell the fruit of someone by their actions.
Right. I'm not saying
Thomas Massey has good fruit.
I'm not saying he's an elite in a bad way. I'm just saying he's rich and he's a congressman. He's
Yeah.
more elite than we are. I don't hate him. I don't think how much wealth or power somebody has means they're a bad person.
Well, I'm not.
I think bad people with wealth are bad, and bad people who are poor are also bad.
I'm not a eat the rich person.
Right.
I do think that you can be rich and be a good person. But what I will say is people like the people that own BlackRock,
Mm-hmm.
who have just possibly trillions, but hundreds of billions of dollars, and just buy houses and up the housing market and make people not be able to buy houses and stuff like that. That is what I call the elite.
Yeah, and,
The people that, take billions, millions of dollars from a certain foreign lobby.
but it's also like there's a lot of poor people, to be honest, or not even poor, but just not wealthy.
Well, there are bad poor people too. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying that those problems you mentioned are also caused by poor people, or at least not elite. So, like for example, illegal immigrants, if they buy houses, that's one house you can't buy as an American.
Yeah.
And there's not wealthy illegal immigrants. None of them are particularly wealthy.
Yeah.
So it's just it's not a wealth issue. So you kind of appeal to Marxists when you say that kind of stuff, like the elites. That's why I just don't use that language
Because you gotta. I understand what you're saying, but the problem is maybe I do appeal to Marxists when I say the elites, but I mean I very clearly explained what I mean by elites.
yeah, I'm just saying be careful with your language.
there is a group of people, and they all have the most amount of money in the world, and they hate us.
Yeah, I'm not
Bill
defending
Gates, Fauci,
that. Oh yeah.
owners of BlackRock, Klaus Schwab,
Mm-hmm.
People like that. They all hate us. They all want us to die.
Yeah,
and
I'm not
each other.
defending them. Believe me.
All the politicians too. All of them. Netanyahu, they all want us to die. They all hate us. And that's what I mean by elite. So maybe my language is wrong in terms of it attracts Marxists, but in all reality, my ideology is totally against Marxism.
Right.
It's honestly like the exact antithesis of Marxism.
Well, you're not a capitalist, so I would argue no.
Well, that's where we disagree. I don't think capitalism is the exact antithesis of Marxism.
What is?
Hold on, before I answer
Sorry.
that, I think you have a coin. Heads is capitalism, tails is communism, right? And this coin, we think we're stuck. It's one or the other. But in reality, we can have socialist aspects and capitalist aspects. Take the best of both worlds, and it becomes a whole new thing. For example, not capitalist, but also conservative aspects, right? So, national preservation. We are a majority white people, yes, but also blacks, Mexicans, immigrants. We want legal immigrants. That's cool. Just illegals are a problem, yes. But legal immigrants. We are a culture full of different types of people. That is us, right? But what was I saying?
The antithesis to Marxism.
Yes. So we have the nationalism. That is who we are. So one, before anything changes, we have to agree that whites, blacks, Mexicans, and legal immigrants, we can all get along. We've all been here for a long time. We can all get along. Obviously, yes, whites are the majority. They're still the majority, right?
Barely. It's like 55%.
So one thing that would fix that is quotas, right? We used to have immigration quotas. Now we don't.
National quota system, yeah.
Yeah. So that's a problem. We need to bring that back, right?
Sure.
After that,
I would argue we need a complete immigration, what do they call it, moratorium. Just cut it off. I mean, we have too many.
well, maybe cut it off for a few years.
Yeah, I'm not saying
but,
permanently.
But I do believe that this is the land of the free, home of the brave. People should come here legally, and they should want to come here legally.
Let me ask you something. Does a nation have any obligation to anybody except for its native population?
Say that one more time.
Does the state, the government, have an obligation to anyone that is not native born? Does it have an obligation to foreigners?
I think they have an obligation to all citizens.
No.
And I think that the only problem is that the immigration has been fucked up. I think that once the immigration gets fixed, that has no flaw.
I'm not talking about citizens here. I'm talking about, for example, if right now we completely cut off all immigration, would that be wrong because we're not prioritizing or we're not focusing on the needs, the obligations that we have to foreigners? That's kind of what I'm asking.
So what do you mean by foreigner? Do you mean
Somebody who's not living here.
Oh no! If they're not living here,
Right.
then they're not living here. They're not. It's not America. Yeah.
So we have an
America first. America first.
We have an obligation to the people that live here, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you bring in immigrants,
Yeah.
I mean, it's you kind of have to balance it. But even if we bring in one immigrant, that's one immigrant that's working a job, owning a house that an American can't own, an American can't work.
That is true.
So even one, is technically damaging to the American people, but we have to balance it. So some of them can stimulate the economy, some can't. I mean, there's a lot of factors into it. But a nation always has a more obligation to the people that live here than the people that are going to move here.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I don't think it's wrong to have a moratorium, because we have no obligation to let people into our country.
Temporary ban.
Well, even if it was permanent, that wouldn't be immoral because we have no obligation to foreigners.
I agree with you, but I do believe that we came here, or not we, but the founding fathers came here as immigrants.
Well,
the Pilgrims were immigrants. You know what I mean?
Just as a point of clarification, only one founding father was an immigrant.
Okay.
The rest of them were descendants of immigrants, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So America was built off immigration.
Well, not necessarily. So there's a difference between settling.
They fled from a tyrannical, bad government.
Mm-hmm.
They were colonies. They were taxed. They didn't like it. War, blah blah. They have their own country. Immigration is a big part of it because we're a melting pot. It's just important to have quotas because every good nation would. It doesn't mean that we should let everybody in. It means you come in the right way, legally.
Well, here's the thing. You're talking about shoulds. I'm talking about oughts. There's a difference.
Shoulds and oughts is a difference?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What's the difference?
Okay. You should go on a diet. Everybody should go on a diet.
You ought to go on a diet.
You don't ought to. If you... Well, let me choose a better example then.
Yeah.
Well, not everybody ought to go on a diet. Like if you're, starving or whatever. But it doesn't matter. That's a bad example.
Well, if you tell someone they should go on a diet, you could also say you ought to go on a diet. It would be the same thing.
Let me choose a better example. So everybody should follow what we believe. Yeah. I think you would agree with that. Because obviously you think what you believe is true. So everybody should follow what I believe. Not everybody has an ought to follow what I believe. Meaning like they aren't. It's not.
I think ought and should is the same. Bro.
I don't. So an ought is something you need to do. A should is something that you should do, but you don't have to. There's a difference.
Ought, you don't have to do it either. It's you ought to do that. Yeah. That's
how we use it, but it's not the true definition. Besides the point, that's semantics.
Semantics, yeah.
But what I'm saying is, you're saying America should let in immigrants. That's fine to say. What I'm saying is America doesn't have an ought or a need or an obligation to let in immigrants. If we banned all immigration tomorrow, that'd be perfectly acceptable because we have no obligation to them.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I was saying. Let's say we should do that.
I wasn't disagreeing with you.
Okay.
I just don't think that, honestly, at this point in time, with the amount of guys, what I'm about to say might be groundbreaking for y'all, and I don't mean it from a hateful perspective. I just mean that you can look at England and France and Germany and places like that where before we have had it, Muslims have came in. There's nothing wrong with Muslims. But they came in and they have way more kids than we do. So the white race is kind of dying, right? And we want every race to do the best they can. You know what I mean? Like, we have no hate for any race, but we don't want our race to die because that's crazy. So we need a ban on immigration because then we would be able to, do our thing and not have Muslims coming in and having 5-6 kids, Indians coming in and having 5-6 kids, whenever the average white family only has 1 or 2 kids.
If we can help our own native-born population, like if our own native-born population is struggling to own homes, struggling to get a job or a living wage, then why would we bring in immigrants, right? So our Babshi, she said...
Well, yeah, it's only been 130 years and 115 years since her Babshi. So...
Babshi is grandma.
Oh, yeah. Polish for grandma. So, yeah. So, yeah, we haven't been here that long, bro. And that's what I've tried to tell you before.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I do agree that we should have a temporary ban, probably. Or, at the very least, just reinstitute quotas. Because even 130 years ago, when we came here, there was quotas. There was a certain amount for every type of person that wanted to come here. And that's just how it has to be. There has to be some kind of list.
And everybody went through Ellis Island. There was a what do you call it? Like a fettering. There was like a make sure you were good before you came in. In the founding fathers' time, with the Naturalization Act of 1790, which was our first Naturalization Act, our first Immigration Act.
Mhm.
It required that somebody stay here for I think 3 years before they were even naturalized. Naturalized means to become a citizen.
Yeah.
So like you would be living here for 3 years, but you wouldn't even be a citizen because we had to have.
Until exactly 3 years has passed.
Yeah, so it would take 3 years for us to decide whether or not you were a good addition to our country.
Oh.
And after 3 years, if we didn't like you, you were gone.
Damn, that's
And then-
pretty tough though.
And the Naturalization Act of 1795 actually lengthened that to 5 years.
Wow. Well, I would suggest something in between.
Yeah,
Where
again,
you have
I'm
a
just,
3-year period where basically you're on, I wouldn't say a probation, but just the fact of like, don't get into serious trouble. You know what I mean? Don't be a problem. And then after 3 to 5 years, then you're a natural citizen. I don't think you should go through this 3 to 5 year period and then we'll decide if you're ready. You know what
Well,
I
I'm
mean?
just saying that's what they had, and so
Yeah.
it just shows a principle of limiting immigration and making sure that immigrants you bring in are exceptional.
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
to move on to the next topic?
Yeah, let's do it. Oh, well, yeah, nothing else you want to say about Charlie? I mean, rest in peace.
Yeah, I think he had a lot of good ideas. I think me and him disagreed on some things like foreign policy and
Yeah.
nationalism. I'm more nationalistic than he is, but overall, I think he was a good man.
Yeah, overall, yeah, I agree. JFK.
John F. Kennedy.
And so the reason why I'm bringing up JFK, guys, is because on the last stream we went over 9/11, right? And that was talking about how Larry Silverstein, who owned the World Trade Center, bought terrorist insurance, right? Like 6
Yep.
weeks before it happened. His children,
I thought it was
first
a
of all,
week.
no, it was like 4 weeks,
Okay.
3 weeks maybe. 6, I think 6, I don't know. But either way, he bought insurance like, a couple weeks before it happened. He never missed work, and on that day he missed work. His children missed work that day. Tons of people missed work that day. The dancing Israelis, there's just a bunch of weird stuff that's happened.
Go watch
the
that stream.
Go watch that stream. The Pentagon. I'm really passionate about this, dude. But yeah, so the government lies to us is the whole point of these streams, right? They lie to us. They don't tell us the truth, and it's because the elites run the show and they hate us. That's honestly what I believe. JFK is another example of that. Here's my perspective on it. I think JFK was the last president to stand up to the Federal Reserve. He was the last president to try to get the gold standard and the silver standard back to where we based our money off of gold and silver, right? And so that gave our money actual value whenever we could not print more than we had. And now it's just an endless loop of paper, and it doesn't mean anything. That's why we're $17 trillion in debt. JFK was the last president to stand up to that. He was also the last president to stand up to Israel. And I don't mean Jews as a people, I mean the state of Israel. And the state of Israel had nuclear weapons and didn't tell us and was being non-transparent. And as the world power, we said, hey, we need to see your weapons. And the Prime Minister Ben-Gurion resigned the day he saw the letter. Some new guy came in. 6 weeks later, JFK was assassinated in Dallas, right? So there's a lot of coincidences. I'm not saying that it's 100% true. I did want to go over the JFK files with you. We're not able to go over the files because we don't have the technology to have 2 headphones on at once. But we'll get there. But I do want to say the JFK files, there is a lot of incriminating evidence to the fact that it was a conspiracy. And that's after it's been redacted, too.
The only troubling thing I ever saw in the files, which I haven't looked through them, obviously, I've just seen people looking through them.
Yeah.
But the only thing I thought was like kind of crazy is the CIA, I believe, maybe the FBI, kept tabs on the shooter, Lee Harvey Oswald, for like half a year before he ever committed a crime.
Really? I didn't know that.
He wasn't like he wasn't even in America. I think he was in Mexico City.
Huh.
And they're like keeping tabs on him. Like, why would you do that if it's not planned?
Yeah.
At least, but
Yeah, no.
again, I don't know as much of this guy, so.
And I didn't want to bring up this, but Lee Harvey Oswald, John Wilkes Booth, I know your story with him, but Lee Harvey Oswald, John Wilkes Booth, and Tyler Robinson all have the same exact archetype.
They do.
With
They do look pretty
narrow
similar.
jaw, low testosterone look. You know what I mean?
I have a picture actually of Lee Harvey Oswald's mugshot right next to Tyler Robinson's mugshot. That's
it's
pretty spot on.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say that John Wilkes Booth did not fit that archetype, but that's my opinion.
well,
He
to
wasn't
be-
low. He wasn't low test. I mean, he had like good facial hair. I mean,
To be honest, I don't know much about John Wilkes Booth.
now to clarify, he didn't always have good facial hair. He's an actor, so he often shaved
Yeah.
it, but he could grow facial hair.
Yeah.
I believe I've seen photos of him with a mustache.
But either way, that is conspiracy. That is
The
coincidence.
phenotype, yeah.
You could never actually
prove that.
that or point that to something. But it's just like something that I think needs to be mentioned.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, with JFK, man, like it's just another example of how the government lies to us. What I saw in the JFK files was that it was a Secret Service letter, right? So it was from one Secret Service person to another, or it was from one Secret Service person to someone random. But either way, it was Secret Service letter, and they said as soon. Man, let me pull it up real quick just so I get it right. Secret.
Yeah, I've talked to our father about it, but I don't know much about the whole JFK thing. Dad, he talks about the magic bullet, which is where like apparently there was a second shot that went off.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. No, I've heard a lot about that.
But this
There's
is
a
topic
lot
I've
of
done-
weird stuff, and if you look at the footage, bro, it really looks like the driver turned around and popped him.
I don't know much about it. I've heard about that.
There's a lot in it. Images. Yeah. So
Can we zoom in on that?
I don't know if I can zoom in on it.
Right click, open a new tab. Open image, new tab.
Open image, a new tab, new window, new tab. Okay.
And
Alright,
go
I
to
got
that
it,
tab,
I got
and
it.
you should be able to zoom in.
Oh yeah, we can actually, guys. You want to see this shit? You want to see this shit? There we go. Boom.
Now see if you're able to zoom in. On
Yeah.
Chrome, it's gonna be the three dots on your right. I don't know what it is on this. On Chrome, there's like a little zoom in function. You know?
No. Shit. Well, I can always just Command 3, screenshot it, but then they won't be able to see it. Either way, I can read it. So just
Okay.
the highlighted part, we now have plenty of money. Our new backers are Jews. As soon as we, or they, in brackets, take care of Kennedy. Right?
I've seen that. Yeah, I actually have read that.
This is a Secret Service letter. It was in the JFK files. It is 100% real. And I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, this is kind of like damning evidence, right? And so one mistake that the CIA and the FBI make is that like every 30 to 50 years or so, or just somewhere in the future, they release where the organization has done wrong. And then they're like, hey, those guys did wrong, but we're better than them. See, we're releasing this, and they do the same thing.
You're on camera.
What's up?
Do you have my wallet?
Yeah.
We might run with a gas station real quick.
Okay.
That's
I love you. Did you make cookies?
all. No, I'll make them when I get back.
All right.
All right, have a good one.
I will, I promise.
Have a good one.
That's what I always say.
I
Have
love
a
you.
good one too. When we get drunk, we're out.
Well, I have seen this thing before, so can you read it again for me? If you don't mind.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Guys, I'll be right back. 1 second.
Let's see if I can read this. We now have plenty of money. Our new backers are Jews. As soon as us, or they, take care of Kennedy. Yeah, that's what it says. Huh. Yeah, I remember seeing this whenever the Epstein files were released. I don't remember when that was. A few months ago. I did see this image. But I'd probably have to read the whole letter to understand what it means.
Okay. All right. So you want me to read it again for you?
I just read it.
Oh, okay. Yes. So I mean, I can't read anything that isn't highlighted. I wish I could zoom in for you guys. I'm not very tech savvy. I'm not gonna lie, but oops. But you get the idea. And just so that's like so many things that are just wrong, right? I can't show you guys any videos right now because the headphone problem, but you look at the footage of the guy, the driver, it literally looks like he goes, and I mean using an air compressed like pellet, you know what I mean? And even just that right there is enough just pop, you know? I mean, it's just questionable. What do you think about it?
This is one of those topics where I really don't know much about it. So I don't know how much I can say, but the only thing I've seen that image, and I've seen apparently they kept tabs on him for like half a year before he ever shot Kennedy. So that's something weird to me. I don't know why they would ever do that, or I don't really know if that's true, but remember reading something about it. But just like with anything the FBI or the CIA puts their hands on, it's so clouded in mystery. And obviously they only release things that they want to release. Anything important, of course, they're not going to release it. I mean, who are we kidding?
Well, but would you agree though that it's like, look at what those guys did. We're not like them. Look at what we're releasing. We're the good guys, But in reality, they're doing the same exact messed up stuff.
Whenever they release anything, it's always a popularity stunt.
Yeah.
To get back into the good graces of the people. Usually doesn't work. Hopefully, I mean, most people hate the FBI or the CIA, from what I know. But it just, you can't trust them. I mean, it's just obviously they're not releasing anything that's going to condemn them.
Yeah. Nothing that'll condemn the current administration.
What's odd though is they don't even release stuff that'll condemn the previous administration. Like they haven't released any of the files surrounding Biden's FBI raiding the Mar-a-Lago.
I'm not talking about presidential administration. I mean,
I'm just saying it's weird that they don't even do like that.
It seems like it's like if you want to look at presidential ways, it seems like it's like a 3 or 4 term barrier, where you wait 3 or 4 terms and then you drop what happened.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean, so you protect everyone. Everyone's protected. Nothing actually changes, but
wait for that statute of limitations.
Everyone thinks the FBI is cool now because they're
like, sorry we did that, guys.
Area 51.
We're cool now.
Yeah, all that shit. It's just so. I'm honestly grateful that we got the JFK files, because it's just, once again, another example of how the government screwed us over.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you got to think, like, they didn't release that because they're good.
Yeah. It wasn't charity or anything.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll take it on a bit of a lighter topic. So something that's really something that I'm really passionate about is chemtrails.
Right.
And, the processed food, the poison. Even in cigarettes, most cigarettes are full of chemicals, and I'm not saying that cigarettes are good, but I am saying that you can smoke a tobacco and water cigarette and it's not gonna give you cancer, whereas Marlboro and Newports and Crowns are gonna give you cancer because they have a bunch of heavy metals and lead and all those different things in them.
The filters,
Yeah, just everything about them is bad, right? It's the same way with the food. Everything is bad, and the same 4 or 5 companies own everything. You know what I mean? Even in body care, the body wash is poison, the laundry detergent is poison. Everything has harmful chemicals that disrupt our system in some way, and this you could say it's all because of corporate greed, and they just want to make more money off of us. But personally, I think it's a little something deeper. I think it's a part of the agenda to kind of destroy us.
Something I learned recently that's pretty crazy because I use this stuff. But Barbasol, the shaving cream?
Yeah.
Apparently that causes Alzheimer's.
Really?
Yeah. There was a man on the podcast. He was an Alzheimer's expert. He talked about that. A lot of products do. That's one of the ones you mentioned.
You said nicotine?
No. Barbasol, the shaving cream.
Oh, because what I learned is that smoking nicotine. People that smoke nicotine didn't get COVID.
Really?
Because your nicotine receptors are something to do with the sun. It's some weird science, but for real, people that smoke nicotine are at least way less likely to get COVID, right?
How weird.
It's just stuff like that. It's like, I think some things are natural medicine, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so obviously, like, even if you recognize that nicotine's a natural medicine, it can still be abused. Like,
I'm not against nicotine.
Smoking a cigarette right when you wake up. Smoking a cigarette after every meal. You know what I mean? Just going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That would be an abuse. Weed. I believe it's probably a natural medicine, even though I don't think that, first of all, young people should be using it, and second of all, just, really, I don't think it should be an everyday thing. You know
I'm very anti-weed, you know that.
I mean, I don't smoke weed. I just think that it should be allowed. I think it's better than pretty much everything else, and I think just like anything else, it can be abused, but when it's not abused, it actually has some benefits. I think that it makes a lot of, like, you can be a really intense person, and that can loosen you up a little bit, and you can be able to be with your family.
But at that point, you're dependent on it.
True, yeah.
I don't think there's anybody in the world right now that needs weed to function. I think they can find alternatives, and they do weed 'cause it's easy.
Weed has been proven to cure cancer, though. What do you think about that?
Well, is it the THC doing that or the CBD doing that?
Well, that's a good question.
Probably the CBD, and I'm okay with people using CBD products. THC is what gets me. It's the the part that gets you high.
Yeah.
That's the part I don't like.
What I
And-
will say is, I think that the dispensaries and the legalization of everything has kind of ruined everything, because now it's super high percentage, like
Right.
death weed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it
fentanyl in
it used to be like, oh, we grew this in the backyard, blah blah.
Mhm.
You know, like it's different now. It's genetically modified, just like all of our crops, all of our plants, genetically modified, and that's the problem. Just like that's unhealthy, so is the food.
Well, GMOs, as far as I know, aren't really the issue. Like, for example, bananas. Before GMOs, bananas were like, like imagine like a popcorn kernel full of banana on the inside. Like, it's impossible to eat. And through selective breeding and then also through GMOs, they made them into things you can actually eat that are this big. But really, it's like pesticides and chemical fertilizers and
Yeah.
things like that are the real issue. As far as I know, I mean, there's probably some bad things that come from GMOs, but as far as I know, GMOs are, like, especially the ones done 100 years ago, like, whatever.
Yeah, I'm about to show you something. GMO corn, Bill Gates. I should pull it up. And so I understand about the banana thing because, unfortunately, it's a definition problem, right? So when you look at genetically modified, it means that in some way it's been tampered.
Yeah.
Corn is a genetically modified crop no matter what,
Mhm.
just like bananas are.
Yeah, because
But that is from humans. Like, for example, with corn, the natives selectively bred these plants until they got better fruit.
Because
right?
corn, originally it had like, it was like a little twig and it had like 16 kernels on it or whatever. It was very, very,
Yeah.
it wasn't good to farm.
But what I'm saying is, like,
So this is talking about gene editing, like CRISPR. Yeah, that's different.
well, hold on. I'll go through the images and you'll see what I'm really talking about. But what I'm saying is that corn and even bananas, stuff like that, those types of things were selectively bred through time to produce that fruit. And that is technically genetically modified. But what I'm talking about is stuff like this, where Bill Gates funded GMO contraceptive corn that attacks sperm set to save the world from overpopulation. And
that's disgusting.
that's facts. That's what that's what they do,
Yeah.
And
Corn.
so that's what I mean by GMO, right? And so whenever you look at, I think Velveeta has it, stuffing,
Campbell's.
probably Campbell's too. When it has this little, most everything in the grocery store has this little barcode this little title at the bottom that says contains genetically modified ingredients, right? And so back in the day, you were talking about bananas and corn, but now you're talking about corn that makes people infertile to save the world from overpopulation.
Oh, it attacks human sperm.
Yes.
I thought it was saying like bananas, modern bananas, they can't reproduce. They're seedless.
Yeah.
I thought it was saying like that, like it's a corn that can't reproduce.
Oh.
But no, it's saying it attacks human sperm. Okay.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
No.
how I read it.
No, like plants don't have sperm. It's called something else, like
I guess.
pollen and stuff. But yeah, no. This straight up, Bill Gates funded GMO contraceptive corn that attacks sperm, set to save the world from overpopulation. It says it pretty freaking solid. Bill Gates owns 275,000 acres of farmland where potatoes are grown specifically for McDonald's fries, and he enjoys them for free with his McGold card. By the way, the potatoes that are grown for McDonald's are sprayed with an ungodly amount of chemicals.
I bet.
Um,
I just got done reading a book called The Contrary Farmer by Gene Logsdon.
Mhm.
And this is written in the 90s, so it's not even as bad as it was then as it is now. But he talks about it.
Yeah.
Like, in that time, there was something very popular called no-till farming, where you wouldn't till the soil. You wouldn't, plow it and all that. What they would do is they'd spray these chemicals on the ground. And I'm trying to remember what they were called. Chemical fertilizers or chemical silage. A lot of different words for it, I guess. But basically, they'd plant something, and then spray it with these chemicals, and these chemicals would kill the plants, and the plants would lay on the ground flat and turn it into like a organic sludge, and then that you would plant your seeds into that. And so you don't have to till the ground. You don't have to dig up the ground.
That seems like a good regenerative farming option.
Well, you think so, because the idea is to stop erosion. But you end up spraying it with so much chemicals that one, you barely make a profit, and
Serious chemicals?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you spray this chemical on the ground that kills those plants and turns it into that weird like sludge.
Oh, I must have missed that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Damn.
So you spend all this money on chemicals and you make no profit, and you know the crop. And I'm not sure about now, but at his time, this was written in the '90s. There was no testing done on what that did to crops. So they were just like, well, we'll see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah.
And a lot of big companies at the time were doing that to stop erosion from happening.
Also, since we're on the topic, this is something I'm really passionate about. And honestly, I do want to know, how passionate are you about how much we're being poisoned? Fake butter, Bill.
Is it all Bill Gates?
Okay. Well, honestly, Bill Gates is the main problem, I will admit. But there's a bunch of them that don't have a face or a name. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But Bill Gates is the face and the name, right? So this is just recently. Butter made from air. It's called Savor, and it's Bill Gates' startup, made from carbon dioxide and water. It claims it tastes like real butter, but with almost zero environmental impact. So once again, they're talking about climate change, and that's a lot. They have different reasons, but that's one of the main reasons for how they get away with stuff. They're like, oh, but it helps climate change, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you heard the TED Talk of Bill Gates talking about, if we do a really good job of vaccines, we'll lower the population by like 13%. He literally did a TED Talk.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, dude.
You know,
Guys,
You know what's
everyone
crazy,
needs
though?
to watch that.
it's crazy though. He's saying, oh, we're gonna help climate change by what? Getting rid of plants? I mean, like he's like trying to get rid of natural
Yeah,
food.
Exactly.
Natural food is what.
It goes against the natural order, and that's why I'm not going to say anyone with a brain, but anyone who's really thinking knows that's fucking bullshit. You know, it's very simple to know that the natural order of things, like, we are meant to eat animals, like the cow and the lamb and,
The pig?
the chicken, even the pig, you know what I mean? As a human race, sure, even the pig, right? So we're meant to eat those animals. Those animals feed off the grass. Deer, same deal. You know, we eat vegetables too. We're omnivores.
Mm-hmm.
Even science has known this forever.
Right.
We're omnivores. That's what we do. They want us to stop eating beef because cows poop too much and fart too much. This is the real example that they give. Cows poop too much and fart too much, so we need to have less cows.
And you know, that poop helps grows the plants that eat the CO2 in the air.
The problem
And
is,
the last time the Earth had a surplus of CO2 in the air, you know what happened?
What?
Well, the ozone didn't get obliterated.
I'm getting a call. Keep talking. Be right
So
back. Keep talking.
what actually happened the last time the Earth had a surplus of CO2, the ozone didn't get obliterated. What happened was all the plants got really lush and all the animals got really big because CO2 is good for the environment. It's not gonna, it's not gonna cause the world to explode or the ozone to get a hole torn through it or whatever they say. You know, it's CO2 is good for plants. Plants are good for animals. Animals are good for us. It's a circle of life. You know, really, scientists interfering with that whole cycle, it harms us more than the cycle itself, which I think is pretty self-evident. But what I was gonna say when he was here is that the U.S. has a weird reliance on corn. It's not something not a lot of people focus on. When you go through the Midwest, Ohio that's more Appalachia, I guess, but Ohio, Pennsylvania, those kind of places, it's full of cornfields. And like, who eats that much corn? Nobody does. All that corn, all it does is they make fuel out of it. They make ethanol. Everybody knows that. Ethanol is not good for engines. It's not a good fuel. The only reason they make ethanol is so they have something to do with all that corn, which is kind of silly. So, why grow the corn in the first place? Grow something else, grow anything else. And that's all it's used for. Very few percentage of it is used for us. Very little of it is used for like deer corn. Pretty much all of it is either ethanol or it's feed for cows. Which even that, like, straw is probably better for them than corn is. We have a weird over reliance on corn. It's very odd. Nebraska, Kansas, Ohio, go through any of these places, it's just corn everywhere. And so, all these farmers, this is this book I was talking about earlier, The Contrary Farmer by Gene Logsdon, he goes into it. That all these big, the big agribusiness guys, with their 500 acre farms or whatever, they all are growing corn because the government subsidizes corn.
Where are we at?
I was talking about how the U.S. has a weird reliance on corn.
Yeah.
Like how we make ethanol out of corn, but ethanol's not even a good fuel.
Yeah.
We make ethanol so we have something to do with all that corn. So why not just grow something else?
Well, that's a fair point. But do you know what's kind of surpassed corn recently?
What?
Not recently.
Is it soybean or what?
Soybeans.
Yeah.
And so soybeans are used to make either soy protein or anything to do with soy, but
Animal feed.
Soy is horrible for us.
Yeah.
And it's horrible for our animals
Yeah.
too. Yeah, there's literally studies that show cows that were fed soy and grain versus cows that were fed grass, totally different.
I was talking to them. I was talking about how.
Isn't some corn raised to feed cattle?
Yeah, I brought
Exactly.
that up.
Yeah. So
I brought that up. It's like straw is better for them. And it costs way less. You can grow straw on a farm. You can't really grow that much corn. You have to buy corn.
yeah, I will admit corn is better than soy, but
It's not really that good for you either.
it's
like
not
a
what
fattening.
it's not what cows are supposed to eat. They're supposed to eat grass, and hay. That's what they always ate. They graze. They're just like goats. Goats eat a little bit more
the
than cows.
ruminants.
Though, but-
They eat grass.
yeah.
And corn, like this is what they used in the old days. They would supplement the feed with corn or with soybean or with anything, and that's not that bad. But nowadays, what the government wants you to do is he wants you to buy all the corn that they force farmers to grow, so that you can use all that corn to feed your cattle, and then it's so weird. It's such a twisted, backwards way of thinking
Right.
that we need you to buy corn so we have a reason to grow all this corn. Just stop growing it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just exactly like you said, backwards way of thinking, and that's pretty much, unfortunately, that's pretty much the entire system right now is just backwards.
I don't know if it's so much a problem nowadays, but in the 1900s, there was a weird problem with dairy. It was a dairy problem, which I don't know if you've heard of this.
Well, do you mean the pasteurization issue?
The cheese caves. You know about this cheese caves?
What are the cheese caves?
So
Enlighten me.
around the Great Depression, whenever we had all these agricultural federal subsidies and all these agricultural they're supposed to help you, but they really don't help. But you have Department of Agriculture, all these different things. These all popped up around, or at least became a lot more powerful around the Great Depression with FDR.
Yeah.
So around that time, the U.S. government started buying milk from farmers because they had a surplus, and you have too much supply, demand goes down. Prices go down, so it's not good. Excuse me. So the U.S. government bought milk from farmers to help them make a better profit. But then they're like, well, we're going to do all this dairy. So they turned it all into cheese, because you can keep cheese longer than you can keep milk, obviously. You keep cheese basically indefinitely.
Yeah.
So they turned it onto these big cheese wheels, and they started storing them in warehouses. But that's kind of a pain because you have to, cool all that. And, you can only have so many warehouses. And they had a lot of cheese. So this is completely serious. They found underground caves, like big caves, and they stored all the cheese in there.
Okay.
And also like old school bunkers, basically anything underground that wasn't being used, so it could be cooled naturally because it's underground. They put a bunch of cheese in there. And they just stored it in there for years and years, not knowing what to do with it. They kept buying, and they couldn't sell enough to get rid of it. And eventually they found a solution. Government cheese. That's where that comes from. Kraft Singles, but like the government version that, poor people used to get. I don't know if they still do.
Yeah, Kraft cheese, yeah.
Well, not Kraft cheese, but there was something called government cheese. You would get it from the government,
Oh, okay.
like your food stamps.
Yeah.
But
I'm
it was-
pretty sure they just give out Velveeta now and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was similar to Kraft Singles. It was basically that, but it's American cheese, yeah. And they gave it to poor people. But imagine that, like you have all these cheese stored in cages. You're like, I guess we'll give it to the poor people. I mean, that's kind of effed up,
Yeah.
Kind of messed up. But it's another rabbit hole you can go down.
Yeah, that's interesting. But with the dairy thing that I want to bring up is the whole
Raw milk,
the
yeah.
whole pasteurization thing.
I like raw
Well,
milk.
it was in the 1900s, right? The early 1900s.
I'm not sure.
Let's look it up real quick.
Yeah, now like you're not even allowed to bring it across state lines. Like Thomas Massey, he obviously has cows on his farm,
Yeah.
and he makes his own raw milk. And when he goes to DC, he keeps like some bottles of it in his like mini fridge that he has in a camper, right? And it's actually technically like illegal, but he just says like don't tell anybody, you know. Well, not invented. It was invented way earlier. When was No. It was
Introduced in America?
Say when was raw milk banned in America? How about that?
Let me just say introduced.
Okay. 'Cause it's gonna be super early, but it wasn't like federally mandated until later. I'm guessing. Here it's
Introduced in America. Okay. No, I don't want to do the AI mode.
screw the AI.
Screw the AI. All right, let's
That's
see
the
what we got.
1890s. Yeah.
Yeah, so pasteurization was introduced in America gradually, starting with early commercial efforts in the 1890s, notably by Sheffield Farms and NYC, providing cheap milk in the 1890s, leading to mandatory laws, driven by public health
Hold on.
concerns.
Mandatory laws in Chicago and New York. That should be clarified. But yeah, driven by public health concerns, and then later standardized nationally
Yeah, in the 1920s.
with the U.S. Public Health Service. So, yeah, 1920. That's about progressive era. That makes sense. So that was right around, like for example, we had the Food and Drugs Act, Clean Food and Drugs Act with Theodore Roosevelt. We also had the U.S. Meat Inspection Act, which later became the USDA.
Yeah.
Which is where we got our stamps. USDA Prime stamp, or what do they call it? Choice meat. That kind of stuff. They inspect a lot of meats. So that all came out in the 1920s and then also 1930s and 40s with FDR.
Yeah.
Rice, beans, and butter.
Yeah, I don't know what she means by that, but I think she's out now.
I think she's talking about like things you could grow other than corn.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the goal was to have cows and grow your own crops. That's the whole thing. Is like people used to grow their own stuff.
That was Jefferson's dream.
Yeah, everybody grows their own things. I mean, that's just
It's the idea is called agrarianism.
yeah. I mean, you look at what you can really do with half an acre of land, and you really start thinking like you could have an entire self-sufficient garden with half an acre.
Not half an acre.
Promise you.
Not with cows on it. That's what.
Oh, not with cows on it.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
You could have a good garden, but to have to really be self-sufficient, you have to have a few acres, like 6.
Yeah, for the cows. But you could have chickens or rabbits. On
Chickens
half
and
an acre.
rabbits.
And that's
Yeah.
self-sufficient. I would miss beef, but I could live off that.
It's really difficult to you're talking about half an acre you won't
Well,
be
you
able
gotta think most of the time you keep them in the the
no,
coop.
no, not to my animals.
Oh, got rice, beans, and butter. That came with the big block of American cheese.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean it's classic. I mean I live off potatoes, rice, beans, beef hot dogs. I won't eat normal hot dogs, but I will get the cheap beef hot dogs. Eggs.
Yeah, basically all I eat is like bread, potato, beef, chicken, pork.
Man, I really like bread, but I just can't do it with the.
Well, I also include pasta in that.
Yeah, oh yeah, pasta for sure.
I
Yeah.
was talking about pasta and bread.
What's weird is you can find good pasta out there that's just whole durum wheat. You know what I mean? But the bread's always enriched flour, and it strips the nutrients, and they bleach it, and it's just.
Yeah, Mom has talked about making sourdough.
Mm.
She might do that, so that'll be good.
Well, that bread at Christmas tonight was really good.
Yeah, shout out to
Bob Sheet, if it was made with less preferable ingredients, just don't tell me. Your bread was really good.
When I go home, I'll probably have some more of that.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm probably gonna take some home when I drop you off.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah, man, freaking chemtrails poison. So the chemtrail, are you passionate about this stuff? The fact that it's happening. You can look up the Google patent. There's a patent for specifically weather modification.
So you're talking about Like, for example, what they do, they spray, like, I think aluminum into the clouds to make them heavier. And when they're heavier, they rain more. Like, it's weird. They shouldn't do that. They're messing with God's sky.
Yeah, exactly.
So I definitely...
Playing God.
She said thank you. I'm definitely against it, but it's not something I talk about all the time, to be honest. Let's see. We got about 30 minutes for the countdown. You want
35 minutes of the countdown.
You want to get into the topic again before that?
Yeah.
She's gonna start making bread soon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So we got one last topic before I got some questions for you.
Okay.
Empires last. Don't look at my list. This is mine. It's mine, bro. Back up.
Okay.
You ain't gonna be able to read this anyway. Look at this. You ain't gonna be able to read that.
I'll see what was next on the. Yeah.
Empires last 250 years.
Mhm.
America is reaching its 250th birthday.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
Well, I think first of all, we've talked about this, off camera before, but it's been a little bit. But first of all, I think America hasn't always been an empire. If we are now, we haven't always been that way. You know, Jefferson, he called it an empire of liberty. That's what he called America in the beginning. But also known as a republic, of course.
Yeah.
So that's what we were for a while. If you ask me, I would say 1861 is when we stopped doing that. Robert E. Lee, he has a quote where he says, "The consolidation of the states into one massive empire will lead only to this is paraphrased, but will lead only to a government that's aggressive abroad and despotic at home." Right. So he saw the Union winning as the U.S. becoming an empire. And, I mean, obviously his words are proven true because, I mean, U.S., at least compared to before 1861, is pretty dang despotic, which is, tyrannous is what that means, authoritarian. And definitely aggressive abroad, I mean, definitely. With Nixon and Reagan, or Nixon and Vietnam and Bush and
for sure.
the Middle
And
East. And
the Soviet Union and all that, yeah.
and even Trump in Venezuela and Iran.
Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, all those places, yeah, imperialist. But what I'm saying though is like Rome, like every major empire in Rome lasted 250 years.
Well, Rome is an interesting analog because they weren't always an empire. They were a republic for,
But when it became an empire, it was
Yeah.
250 years. And the Chinese dynasties, 250 years roughly. You know what I mean? Most of them.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is Rome is an interesting analog because they kind of went through the same thing we're going through. Is they actually had a republic. And that republic went through a civil war.
Yeah.
With Julius Caesar dying and
Yeah.
Brutus and Octavius fought. There's a play about it.
And then it became an empire.
That's what became an empire. So it's actually a very interesting analog to what we have.
Yeah.
But the only difference is they at least had Constantine, and that turned it Christian. We don't even have that.
Yeah, but before Constantine, there was Diocletian, the Diocletian persecution.
I don't know about that.
Oh, really?
Well,
So you know about Nero, what
Yeah,
he did,
right.
Nero was largely confined to the capital, Rome. So all the Christian persecution that happened then, although it was gruesome and barbaric, it only happened in Rome.
Well, actually,
But it was called the Diocletian or the Diocletian persecution, or the Great Persecution.
Mhm.
It's known as the Great Persecution, and it was throughout Rome, systematic, burn them, hang them, kill them. You know
was
what I
that the kiss the idol of Caesar?
I don't know that.
I knew when they did that. They would say kiss the idol of Caesar, and it was basically like showing your allegiance to the Roman state. And they would also say you step on the icon and be a picture of Jesus. Step on that.
Well, priests were told, women, children, men, everyone were told, worship the Roman gods or die.
Right.
And most, some of them refused, some of them didn't.
So, in that book club,
Yeah.
I'm in a book club with my father.
Yeah.
And we're trying to invite this guy. He hasn't gone yet. But we just started.
Busy man.
We just started. But so there's a priest in that book club, and he mentioned how America, like Rome, has always had historically two religions. The founding religion, or like the main religion, which would be Christianity for us, paganism for them. But they also had Christianity later on. And then the secondary religion, which was the civic religion. So like what you're talking about when they said kiss the pagan gods, they didn't really believe in pagan gods. But what it was showing allegiance to the state.
Yeah.
In America, we've had that a lot. It's a civic religion.
Well, I will say, yeah, it is in their eyes showing religion, showing dedication to the state, but there's a difference because the Bolsheviks actually made Christians worship the state.
Right, yeah.
Communism is worship of the state. It becomes the religion, you know? And so I actually went over this in my most recent YouTube video. I hate to plug it like that, but go check it out. But yeah, so I brought up the Diocletian and Nero and all that during Rome. You know, there's a king called Dunuwas. It was a Jewish Himyarite king who murdered thousands of Christians. You know, so the
That sounds familiar.
Jews, Romans, pretty much everyone in the world. You know, I mean, I didn't go through it in the video, but even the Japanese, you know, had massive persecution.
Oh
of
yeah.
Christians.
Have you ever seen the Scorsese film about that? Martin
Yeah,
Scorsese?
yeah, it's really
Silence, yeah.
good. Yeah, so like, but the Bolsheviks stand out because, by the way, Bolshevism, Soviet Union, communism, Bolshevik Revolution. Look it up.
It was the party that started the Communist Revolution.
Yeah.
They were they were called the Red Army.
Yeah, well, there's layers to it, bro.
Yeah, because the White Army was the loyalist, it was the monarch. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers to it. There's the Red Terror, then there's the Holodomor, you know, just a bunch of stuff. But either way, they stand out because the Romans wanted the Christians to worship Roman gods. The Muslims who persecuted them, you know, there's lots of that.
Mm-hmm.
The Muslims persecute them, want them to deny Jesus as the Son of God. You know,
Right.
you could say he's a prophet, but you know, you can't be the Son of God. The Jews wanted him to say he's a false prophet, but the Bolsheviks wanted them to worship the government.
Do you know about, I forget his name, it's a Russian name, but he's actually he was Georgian, but at that time that was Soviet Union. Do you know about he's called the Holy Fool? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
So he's famous because basically he was an Orthodox priest, and he was banned from. They basically like took him and make him take a psychological evaluation. And since he was a priest, since he was Christian, they decided he was mentally insane. So they banned him from ever going to church. They did all that stuff. And one day in this little Georgian town he's in, they take a big flag of linen. They like drape it over this building, and he goes to the top floor of that building, and he breaks through the window. He takes a torch and he burns the whole flag.
Wow.
And whenever he tries to escape, the mob that was gathered to watch the flag actually beats him within an inch of his life.
Damn.
And for the rest of his life, he pretended to be a fool. That means mentally disabled.
Mm-hmm.
In their time it was called a fool though. He pretended to be a fool. He would act drunk, but he wouldn't really drink.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And there's a story about these little boys. When I say little, 13, 14, 15. Talking with him, and he acted drunk, but they realized he never he had a drink in his hand, but he never actually drank it.
Mm.
And whenever one of the boys was alone, he would take him inside he had a hermitage, little hut, and actually describe the gospel to him.
Yeah.
And he was very clear minded at that point. It was a very interesting story. But they call him the Holy Fool. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that story. I might have to research it. But yeah, so real quick, does America have a chance to last past 250 years? What has to happen? What are you most worried about in America today?
Well, let's focus on this one topic real quick.
Okay.
I want to say first of all, I want to bring up a quote by Abraham Lincoln, or not Abraham Lincoln, by Thomas Jefferson. Actually, I don't think I need to pull up my phone for it. I think I got it. But it's a good quote.
Just wait till I get a soundboard and be like, "Boss man, you don't need to pull up the phone."
But so one of the things I think we can do to prevent this whole 250-year collapse thing is stop being an empire. Go back to being a republic. I think republics are uniquely situated to deal with those kind of issues.
Yeah.
So Thomas Jefferson, he said, "I'm increasingly convinced that the world belongs solely to the living, and that one generation has no more right to bound another generation to its rules or laws as one nation to another." So, and that's one of the founding principles of the republic, is that just because the generation before us was liberal or conservative or monarchical or authoritarian or whatever, doesn't mean we have to be. So a republic or an empire of liberty, but not really an empire, of course. But a republic can always be changing, and it's not in a bad way, it's not in a good way, but that's just the nature of it. So you can kind of avoid that collapse, I believe. Because how that collapse happens is just years of corruption.
Yeah.
But the great thing about a republic is you can fight corruption,
Yeah.
It's not solely just getting the right guy in office. That's really where we've gone on the wrong turn. Is getting the wrong. You just have to get the right guy in office. Everything will be well. But not necessarily. You really have to have
It's
the right
gone
people.
too far. It's gone too far.
Yeah. So going on to your segue to your question.
Before I do that, I have a different question for you, and that's, what's it gonna take for us to be able to have that republic, that utopia? You know, like
Right. And republics aren't necessarily utopias, but definitely better than what we have now.
yeah, but
I think it's the best form of government ever. But so what's it gonna take? So obviously we'd all like a civil solution.
Yeah.
Right. And is that possible? I hope so. I really do. I hope we can vote our way out of it, as you could say. One thing that issues me, and you were saying what worries you about America today. One
Yeah.
thing that really worries me is immigrants, because as we know, immigrants, vast majority of them vote Democrat, right?
Yeah.
And Democrats, obviously, we are very opposed to a lot of things that they believe.
Well, I'm opposed to both sides.
Right.
I'm
I'm
not
saying-
gonna lie. I really couldn't tell you which side I prefer more. They
Well,
both
I'm
suck.
opposed particularly to Democrats, less so to Republicans. I'm still opposed to them, but particularly Democrats, I'm really opposed to them. Just because I'm not a socialist, I'm not
Yeah.
right. I'm not progressive socially.
Yeah, you're definitely conservative for sure.
Yeah. Well, anyways, immigrants vastly vote blue because the Democrats are the ones that let them in, so it makes sense.
Well, it's just
Well, hold on.
aren't illegal immigrants voting?
They are, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the problem. If they were legal, they would probably not. They'd actually make their decisions based off things you would make decisions
Not
off of.
necessarily. A lot of legal immigrants vote blue too.
Yeah, but there's a lot. I mean, dude, there's a lot of Mexicans for Trump. Even though Trump's not good, but
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
not the majority of them, I don't believe.
Ah.
But what I'm getting at is, whenever you let in these people that are very partisan and don't really have our values necessarily
Yeah.
and our traditions, what you're leading to is it's no longer a republic because you can't vote if all these people are in the country.
It's true.
Thomas Jefferson, he also said that a democracy is nothing more than mob rule. And it goes on, but that's the gist of the quote.
Hmm.
So whenever you have, so America, it's kind of weird because we're so authoritarian, but also so democratic in a way, or plutocratic, some people might say, or pluralistic. I like different words for it.
Never heard plutocratic.
But I believe it means the same thing as democratic. I could be wrong. But we become more authoritarian by the government, but also more democratic in the way that, like, the people can vote for something, and it radically changes America.
Hmm.
Every 4 years, America radically changes. In the old days,
Does it radically change though, or is it like culturally it's changing and
Well-
the news shows that it's changing, but in reality nothing really has changed?
it radically changes, at least opposed to the old days. In the old days before Lincoln, whoever was president, it really didn't affect you that much.
Hmm.
Because the executive didn't have all that power
Yeah.
like it does now.
Wait, so you're saying the executive shouldn't have all that power?
Oh, of course not.
Okay.
And the judicial has too much power.
Because I have heard from a few people that what they think should be the right way to go is that, unfortunately, the only way it's probably going to happen is that someone takes power for a little bit and fixes everything, and then
Yeah.
brings it back. Well, how's that going to happen? Like, that's,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Here's something I always pose this question to people. When's the last time, especially in America, that a ruler gave up their power willingly?
In any time in history, I don't think it's ever happened.
I don't think it's definitely never happened in America. No president or any member.
George Washington. They wanted him to do another term, and he said no. He said the president should only serve
Right,
2
okay,
terms, and he
sure.
gave it up.
Him, yeah. He's a rare example
Yeah.
of virtue
Yeah.
in our history. But what I'm getting at is people
I got him. I got him.
people don't ever give up their power willingly, except there's
Yeah.
some crazy guy like George Washington.
Yeah. Did you almost say someone else's name?
No,
Sounded like it. Anyways, continue.
maybe I did. I don't know. But
I'll tell you later.
well, anyways, so just voting the right guy in office
Yeah.
isn't gonna do it, and voting the right guy in office and giving him more power isn't gonna do it.
Yeah.
And this is my problem with the Republican strategy so often, is they try to aggrandize power, right?
Yeah.
And what ends up happening, oh, we got a thumbs up.
Thumbs up.
What ends up happening is the next guy gets in office, right? Because it's not guaranteed the next guy's going to be a Republican.
Yeah.
So usually you get a Democrat in office. And Democrats do this too. They gain power and then they give it to the Republicans, and Republicans gain power and give it to the Democrats. But what often happens is the other side will use it way more than they did. So, like, for example, here's a good example. George Bush with the Patriot Act, right? I'm sure you know about that. Basically,
Yeah.
George Bush set the standard that the FBI should be, and the CIA and all these different organizations should be allowed to raid whatever household they want without warrants, without...
Because of terrorism.
Because
I'm
of
actually
terrorism.
very passionate about the Patriot Act.
Well, I don't
because
want to go too far into it.
we're leading into a second Patriot Act with AI, Palantir, and illegal immigrants. I think they're going to say, well, the mass deportations didn't work, so we're going to have to roll this in, and if you don't go on with this, then you're a terrorist.
Well, let me finish my thought here, but I think that's true. But when it comes to like the Patriot Act, so that was a Republican, obviously, and to be honest, he didn't use it that much, really,
Yeah.
in the grand scheme of things. But you know who did use it? Obama and Biden.
Mm.
You know, like Biden raiding Mar-a-Lago, that could never happen if the Patriot Act never existed.
Yeah.
If that precedent wasn't, that standard wasn't set in the first place. So usually it's always, you know, even if George Bush, I believe George Bush did have good intentions, actually.
You think?
I think he's kind of a lovable idiot. Yeah, I think he had good intentions.
I think he knew exactly what was happening.
I don't know. I think he had good intentions. I think he actually did think he was fighting communism, but he was, or terrorism. I mean, but he's an idiot. But I did think
Yeah.
he thought that.
Well,
hold
I think
on.
he knew about 9/11.
Maybe. I'm not trying to get to that topic right now, because you know it's off topic. But
Yeah. True.
and you just did a whole thing on it, right? Whole live stream. So. Yeah, nothing I can say that probably hasn't already been said.
You're right.
But what I'm getting at here is that whenever the executive, the president, gives himself more and more power, it never goes in their favor. Their enemy always uses it on them.
Yeah.
So, and the issue is, like I said, what ruler has ever given up their power?
Besides George Washington, I really can't think of one.
Right. So, that if that is true, that means there is no political solution. Because if the goal is to limit the executive's power, which is definitely my goal,
Yeah.
I think that's conservative because, you know, the executive branch having all that power, that's pretty new.
Yeah, but I mean, even
Well,
if... Sorry, go ahead. Go
Sorry.
ahead.
Just a little bit more. If that's the goal, then there is no political end to that goal. There's no political solution to that end, because we'll never vote somebody in who'll give up their power. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, but... You're looking at the executive branch like it's the problem. And I agree that the executive...
It's a problem, not the problem.
Yeah, but like, you've got to look at the corruption in the Senate, in the House of Reps, you know, even in the Supreme Court. It's the judicial, the executive, and what's the other one? Judicial, executive,
Legislative.
And legislative. Thank you.
Yes.
All three branches, they're all corrupt.
Oh, for sure. It's just who should have the most power?
Well, it's supposed to be equal. It's supposed to be literally 33%. You know
Well,
what I mean?
so this was a debate in early America in the constitutional period. So the judicial obviously shouldn't have the most power. They're not even elected. They're not even elected by us.
Yeah.
They're just elected by the executive.
Yeah.
So the judicial obviously shouldn't have that much power. The executive shouldn't have that much power because at that point you're bordering
The
on.
legislative should, though.
I do believe the legislative should have the most power because they're the most representative of the people.
But I agree they're the most representative, but I don't think they're enough representative.
Oh,
I
for
think-
sure, yeah, they should be
I mean,
more.
like, there's examples of different countries that have localized government more and made it so, like, actual people vote on actual things, and, like, you kind of eliminate the need for someone to be on your behalf.
So that's actually what I'm against. That's democracy. I don't like democracy.
Really?
So democracy, like for example, this is usually attributed to Ben Franklin. It's not his quote. It's really from some guy in the 80s, like a journalist, like a libertarian journalist. But there's a quote. It's like, democracy is when two wolves and a lamb argue for what's for lunch.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
But
Or here's another example. There's a famous photo out there. It's like three men beating another, or it's four men beating another man with sticks, right? And it says 4 out of 5 people love democracy. So democracy, it's almost always it turns into a mob rule where 51% of the population is very tyrannous and aggressive to the 49%.
yeah, I can see that for sure. What I will say though is I think the situation we're in now is the exact same. Whereas now Trump's on top. Or even though let's go back to first term. You know, no one thought Trump would win. Trump wins. What's up? Make America great again. Fuck yeah. You know, like everyone's, Trump, and then like just they were on top, right? And it was very clearly like, fuck you. And then Biden won, and it was the exact same thing, but the other way.
Right.
And now I believe that this cycle, I think that people are waking up more, and I think that's good. But I'm saying that the general cycle is the exact same thing as what you're saying. The only difference is that we elect people to vote on what we should be voting for.
And here's the thing. So the executive actually, here's a fun example, or it's a good example. There have been like at least 3 or 4 presidents that have won the presidency while losing the popular vote.
Yeah, see that.
So
shouldn't be
and
allowed.
Donald Trump's one of them actually. His first term, I believe, he lost the popular vote.
Yeah, but he
But,
won the electoral. Yeah.
yeah.
Or it was close. I don't remember exactly.
But like one of the more famous ones is Andrew Jackson was robbed, or he believed he was robbed by John Quincy Adams. John Quincy Adams lost the popular vote, but won the electoral college. That was a weird election. If you look at it, it's very odd. But what I'm getting at is the judicial isn't representative at all. The executive isn't very representative if they can lose the popular vote and win the election. The legislative is the only one that's truly representative of the people.
Yeah.
So that's why I think they should have like not primacy, but like more than more than the executive and the judicial. But oh yeah, we're getting close. 14 minutes.
Yeah, 14 minutes till the Christmas. Till the Christmas happens. Let's see. Let me mute that.
Like, do you know who George Mason is? That's not a countdown.
Let's see. What the fuck?
Well, anyways,
Let's get it on there. Check this out. Check this out, guys.
so George Mason, he was a representative, not House of Representatives, but he was a representative from Virginia to the Constitutional Convention.
Yeah.
And he was famously one of the few people that did not sign the Constitution after it was ratified, because he didn't agree with it. And he has a book or an essay called "Objections to this Constitution of Government." I've read that. It's not too long. And so one of the interesting points he brings up in there is that he believes that the executive and the legislative are actually too closely intertwined.
Yeah.
Because the
Thank you.
because the vice president is the speaker of the Senate, right?
Uh-huh.
And so he thinks that they're too closely intertwined and it's going to lead to tyranny. There's not enough separation. And is that right? Yeah, I guess it is. Okay. Let's check if that was the right time.
Yeah, that's correct.
Well, anyways, so there's a lot of things that people don't even look into, and one of the main things I want to say is that people focus too much on the executive. That's what you see every day. Like, when's the last time you saw a yard sign, right, that said "Vote Ted Cruz," "Vote AOC"?
That's a good point.
It's always vote Trump or vote Kamala or vote any executive. These people should not have that much bearing on our lives.
True.
Really, people need to focus more on their state governments and then also the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
I talked to you earlier, I think yesterday actually, about the John Birch Society. Now, this is not me endorsing them. I haven't studied that too much about them. But one of the great things they do is if you go to their website, jbs.org, actually, you want to pull it up? It won't take 10 minutes. So.
Well, shit, I just got this whole thing set up.
Never mind then. But if you go to their website, jbs.org,
jbs.org.
they have a very neat, if you go on the little sidebar, the 3 lines, they have a neat feature where they have templates of emails or text messages you can send to your local representative about any bill. So they have a list of bills that are on the House of Representatives or on Senate right now, and you just click whatever one interests you, and it'll give you a pre-made template, and all you have to do is put your name, address, that kind of thing in there, and it'll fill it out for you, and you can send that to them and influence your your representatives or your senators. It's very neat, and that's really what will influence the future of America more than just vote for this president, vote for that president, right?
Yeah, no, I
'Cause-
agree. I just think that it should be more local. I think that there's too much corruption, even in the legislative. It's a good idea, but it's just too much foreign lobbying. No, it doesn't. I'm not even talking about APAC. I'm talking about the railroads, oil, food, pharmacy, whatever it is. They're all trying to get the government to do what they want them to do, and they have money, and we don't.
And the executive branch only submits bills to Congress. Congress is the one that gets stuff done, really. So that's why I'm saying we need to really focus on Congress, because that's where stuff happens.
Yeah, it's true. Most normal people don't even pay attention to Congress.
Right, it's a
They
tragedy.
they vote every 4 years, or whatever, but they don't think about what's actually happening.
Yeah, really, what we need is we need to tell those kind of people. We need to tell them you're not doing enough.
Yeah,
You know,
that is true. Yeah,
It's,
but
get involved in your Congress,
I
in your
should get
representatives,
involved,
in your Senate. Get involved in your state governments, and get involved in your county governments. And even besides all that, you really should get involved in an extra political or like an extra political movement, like the John Birch Society.
Yeah.
Like Young Republicans, another one, like Turning Point, like anything like that, where it's outside of the traditional political system.
Yeah.
Those things can really influence the minds of people.
Got an ad.
Oh, did we? Yeah,
An ad on a live is crazy. All right, we're back on it.
How do we get those? I'm joking.
Watching someone else's stream.
On stream.
Embarrassing.
Things are getting better.
Meta. Real quick. We'll probably talk a little bit after the countdown, but I just want to run through these real quick. This is a little bit of a different question, but I want to know, are you happy?
What do you mean by happy? Like joyful or like fulfilled?
Are you happy in a sense of, like, life is good, I want to keep going,
Like fulfilled,
I want to
yeah.
pursue this, obviously
I
happiness
am-
is,
Yeah, I am hopeful. I'll say that. I'm definitely hopeful. I think things can get better. I hope they will. And I'm very stubborn. I'm that kind of person.
Yeah.
I've never been what's known as a black pillar. I've never been one of those kind of people. It's like, oh, everything's over.
Yeah.
Oh, Biden won the election. It's over. Well, it's not. We're still here. So.
Yeah.
I've never been a black pillar. I've always been, pretty hopeful about things. And don't want to make these answers too long. But I'll just say that I don't know if I'm happy in the sense that I don't know if I'll ever be happy until I'm 90 living on a ranch with kids. But
Yeah.
because in my mind, happy means fulfilled. But
Well, let me change that then. So instead of are you happy, do you want to live? And you explain that very well. And now I want to ask, why do you want to live?
well, every person has a duty to live because we're given a life. We have to live it out. And it's more than just not killing yourself or not dying, obviously. Oh, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
You're okay.
Okay. But it's also like you actually have to, do things. And not only that, you do moral things. So, why do I want to live? Because I have a duty to.
Mm.
And it's not necessarily even about, like, if I feel like living that day or something like that. It's more, God's expecting me to, so I better.
So you're saying that even if you didn't feel like living, you would keep going because you have a duty?
I hope so, yeah.
Have you ever felt like you don't feel like living?
It's a deep question.
Sorry.
No, I don't think so. Definitely felt sad, but not like suicidal or anything like that.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I was just wondering,
And when it comes to suicide, like, even like suicidal people usually aren't suicidal.
Well,
Like
that's a tough subject.
well, like whenever they interviewed people that like jumped off a bridge and survived,
Yeah.
it's always like the second I stepped off, I wanted to get back on that bridge.
Yeah, true.
They always regret it.
Yeah, that is true. And there's a lot of people, like the person who says, I'm going to kill myself, is probably not going to do it. It's the person who doesn't say anything about it
Right.
that ends up doing it, But regardless, yeah, I just wanted to know that. I think it would be, I thought it was fruitful. But what made you become Christian?
So it's actually interesting. I believe the guy. I don't know how well you know, but I was in DMC, which is like detention, basically.
Yeah.
And mainly in detention and DMC in our school, you don't do anything, right? And there was a kid, I was in middle school at the time. He was a high schooler. I don't know if you know, he was like mixed, had a big afro. But I believe he did, but I don't remember his name. Well, anyways, he gave me a drawing of like a cross, like a dove on it. I thought it was neat. Well, anyways, that like touched me in some way, and I started researching stuff. But it wasn't until like a year after that I started going to church. I went to a Baptist church, and then it wasn't until a year and a half ago or 2 years ago actually, really, no, a year and a half. Sorry, I started going to an Episcopal church, and I was baptized and confirmed it a year ago. And since that, I've been pretty set,
Yeah. So it was that random act of kindness from a stranger,
Yeah, I guess so.
giving you a picture of a cross with a dove on it.
Yeah, but that was only like a.
That planted the seed, you would say.
Yeah. It wasn't. I wasn't like intellectually convinced at that
Yeah.
time. Obviously, that took a little bit.
But it planted a seed.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. 4 minutes till Christmas. What can we do to bring non-believers to the truth? What should we do?
What should we do? I think one thing that we often do, and people do it thinking it's good, like it's with good intentions.
Yeah.
But we're honestly too nice to them, and we're called to be kind, but not nice. There's a big difference.
Yeah, there is.
I think if Christians stood up for themselves a lot more, and said this is wrong, I'm going to say it's wrong, I'm going to fight back against it. It goes for all kinds of moral issues. People would respect that, I think, and that actually would bring more people in. But people are often like, you're often told, do not judge. Well, the Bible doesn't say do not judge. It says do not judge, for what you judge will be judged against you, or how you judge, the metric, how you judge. And if you judge people based on the Bible, well, like the Bible's already going to be how you judged. If you've read the Bible, you're going to be judged based on the rules that are in that Bible.
Yeah.
If you haven't read the Bible, like if you're some guy living on a remote island, then maybe you won't be judged that way because you never read it, you never knew. But if you've read the Bible or if you've even heard of the Bible, everybody has that's watching this, or everybody have that's even on YouTube right now.
Heard at least one verse.
Yeah. Then you're going to be judged according to that. So you better get it right. You better fix yourself up.
What is with these ads, man?
I don't know.
Can't stand it.
So
We're on a live stream.
So everybody's already going to be judged by the Bible. So what we should do is the people, like especially in America, everybody's heard of the Bible. Everybody knows the Bible. Everybody knows the Ten Commandments. I mean, or at least the gist of it, right? Even the most secular person knows the gist of it. So we have to really push them to accept it fully, because people say don't judge them. Well, they're already going to be judged by God.
Yeah.
So what we should do is prepare them for that.
Prepare them for God's judgment?
Oh yeah.
Or lead with love and say, "Hey, brother, you're not. I don't think you're doing this right. I'm here for you. I pray for you." You know what I mean? Like, there's a way to go about things, I think.
It's the same thing. What I'm saying is, that's fine, but whenever people do that and then turn a blind eye to gay marriage, or turn a blind eye to adultery or divorce, all these different issues that pervade our society, really what you're showing is you're all bark, right?
No bite. I will say this though, I think that just like the cross and the dove, I wouldn't necessarily call that an act of love, but the fact that that person showed that to you, they probably, that was probably the Holy Spirit moving through them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that would be an act of love.
Right. Yeah. I think
it's an act of love that plants the seed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you say like these people are being too gentle, but you got to look at it in your perspective before you knew about any of it, before that person gave you the cross and the dove. If someone came up to you and said, "You're going to hell, this is why," blah, blah, blah.
No. I'm not saying we should be, fire and brimstone. But here's the deal. Everybody, or every non-believer, is on a fast track to hell. Right? It's unfortunate. I wish it wasn't that way. That's why I'm saying this stuff.
Yeah.
But they are. So, they're a blind man walking towards a cliff. And the loving thing to do is to push back against them and say, "Hey, you shouldn't walk off that cliff." So it's we're giving them sight basically, and hopefully they turn around and walk the other way, and go to heaven. But we are just about time for Christmas.
Oh shit! Hold on, Yeah, we'll pick this up in just a second.
10 seconds.
Excuse us if the sound's a little weird. We don't have headphones. Scoot back a little bit, brother. Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas.
Woo! Happy holidays. Christ is born. Hallelujah.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas. We don't do no happy holidays in here. We do Merry
Definitely not.
Christmas.
We don't do no happy Hanukkahs
Oh yeah, we gotta do that.
or hot fries.
And no Kwanzaa.
No hot fries.
Christ is Lord. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas,
On this
bro.
day a child is given.
Man, let me just say this. It's been a very productive conversation.
Yep.
And I'd like to do this again. I think if not anytime before then, let's do. Oh, Bobshi says Merry Christmas, Bobshi. Thank you for watching. I'm thinking New Year's.
Okay.
New Year's stream.
All right.
So we might maybe do that before that. I don't know if you enjoyed it, but yeah. One last question: what are you most passionate about?
Most passionate about? Well, I'd be a bad Christian if I didn't say God, but
Yeah. Besides
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
right. Love you too, Bobshi. She said love you.
Love you.
But what am I most passionate about? When it comes to like studies or that kind of, I'm most interested in history and politics, right? Because obviously, you know, the country's in a bad place. We all know that. In my opinion, politics are what you call a civic duty.
Mhm.
So you must do it, even if you don't like it.
Most passionate about politics.
No, I'm not saying that. Hold on. But most politics is about fixing my country, and politics is a part of that.
Yeah.
So Christ is a part of that. Politics is a part of that. History is a part of that because, you know, fixing our country, we can only do that by going back to what it once was, which
Well,
was.
do you believe that Christ should be a part of the government? I thought it
Well-
was separation of church and state.
Well, first of all, that's not in the Constitution. Obviously, that's in a. It's a letter that Thomas Jefferson wrote to the Danbury Baptist Convention, I believe it's called, where the Baptists were worried about the government coming after them.
Mm.
They were not worried about the church coming for the government. So it's a little bit misleading. But obviously, I believe the federal government should make no establishment of religion, as the First Amendment says, and should not prohibit the free. What was the word they use? Free expression thereof.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously, I agree with that. Okay. Thomas Jefferson, he said, "It does no harm to me to have a neighbor of a different religion. It neither breaks my leg nor picks my pocket." That's what he said. So, I'm fine with freedom of religion. You know, I'm fine if like my neighbor's a Catholic or, you know, even like a Jew maybe or a Muslim. That's okay. You know, what I'm not okay with is like right now, double standards. Right now on the White House lawn, there's no nativity. You know why? They can't have one. And this isn't a joke. There's a joke about it, I know, but my dad loves that joke. Our dad, but it's not a joke. There's no nativity because they're not allowed to have one. But there is a menorah.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm glad you brought that up because it's just funny how, and I don't mean to shit on you, but to shit on Republicans. Let me pause this crap.
Yeah.
It's
let's put it back in full
yeah,
screen. Now.
it's Merry Christmas, guys. We're moving on from this. I hate to shit on Republicans, but I mean, what were we just talking about?
menorah. The White House lawn.
Yeah. So we're not allowed to have nativity. Like Christ is very hush hush, right? But just a few days ago, there were Israeli people in the White House with Trump, arm around Trump like this.
I just saw it the other day.
Donald Trump is the first Jewish president. I said it before and I'll say it again. And then Trump's like, yeah, that's true. That's true. And then freaking next thing you know, they're performing Hanukkah. They're singing Hanukkah in the White House, right? And so there's nothing wrong, like freedom of religion for sure. But, oh, she likes you. Freedom of religion for sure. But in the White House, you know, I thought we were all for separation of church and state. You know, because that's what they always say. If we try to do nativity there, they'd be like, well, separation of church and state. But now that the menorah and the Hanukkah's there, it's like no problem.
And you know, Biden during Pride Month of one of Biden's years, he had like LGBT flags everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
all over the White House.
Yeah.
That's a religion, as far as I'm concerned. I think that's a religion.
Yeah, here. You're good. You're good. You just gotta. When you're lifting a cat, you gotta lift them forward so their claws. If they claw, they just
Right.
come right
I
out.
don't have cats, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, now you know.
So as far as I'm concerned, that LGBT stuff at that point that becomes a religion. If you have it all over the White House like that, I mean,
Yeah.
what's the difference between that and having a cross or a menorah or
Well,
David?
it's just in the sense of what people don't realize is you're gonna worship something. Sorry, she's stubborn. You're gonna worship something no matter what. So whether that be God, whether that be Christ, whether that be false gods, pagan, whether that be worshiping the government, communism, whatever it is, you're gonna worshiping money, capitalism. You're gonna worship something.
Well, I'd push back on that last one, but
I think capitalists worship money, personally. That's my opinion. Let's maybe not get into this one
Okay.
right now.
But so when it comes to separation of church and state, obviously Congress should make no law respecting the establishment of religion or the free free expression thereof, right? I believe that. Okay, that's the First Amendment.
Yeah.
Or part of it at least, But what a lot of people don't realize is whenever that was written, all the states had churches, and years after that was written, all the states still had churches. And it really wasn't until the Civil War that we lost all those state churches.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Massachusetts, for example, was Puritan, for years. I mean, here's a crazy one. Right now in Tennessee, there's a law that prevents all atheists from running for government,
Really?
and it's been there since Tennessee became a state. Yeah, it's in their constitution.
Wow.
Now, and it wasn't until the 1960s, I believe, that the Supreme Court said that they're not allowed to enforce it. But the law's still there. They're just not allowed to enforce it because of the Supreme Court. So, I mean, separation of church and state, it's all talking about Congress and the
Yeah.
executive branch. What it doesn't mean is that we can't have religion in our government necessarily, because religion is just morality, and you'll always have a national morality.
Yeah.
Whether it's
that's
LGBT or whether it's Christ, and obviously I think Christ is the better alternative there.
it's a big argument for when you're trying to convince people to Christianity. You say like, well, how do you know what's right and what's wrong? They're like, common sense. Like, well, where does the common sense come from? You know what
It's
I mean?
Christian ethic. They're raised with it usually.
Well, not even that. Like, you're born with the law in your heart. You know what's
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
You know what's wrong and what's right. And just as children, you do wrong things, and you know it's wrong, but you do it anyways. You know what I mean? And that's human nature. But the fact is it's the law is written on our heart.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, Paul talks about that in Romans.
Yeah, dude.
And
Wow.
woo, that's a nice one.
That was pretty
And
good.
yeah, so when it comes to separating church and state, obviously I don't want Congress to come out tomorrow and say, Catholicism is the only true religion, or
Yeah.
Presbyterianism is the only true religion. I don't want that. I don't want like denominational squabbles or anything like that. But also, I don't want them to come out tomorrow and say LGBT is okay, or preferred, or Jewish. The Jewish faith is preferred. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're gonna have that standard, apply it all the way around.
Yeah, no, I mean,
And like Maryland used to be a Catholic state. That's
Mhm.
okay. I think Maryland, if they want to be, they should be Catholic. And if Utah wants to be Mormon, they should be Mormon. And if tomorrow Oklahoma said, well, let's be Jewish, okay, be Jewish. Just don't do that to the federal government,
yeah, no, I totally agree. And honestly, I mean, separation of church and state, whether it was written because they thought the government was coming after them and not the other way around,
Mhm.
either way, the government should be free of church. Separation of church and state. And that's because we're built on the First Amendment. You have the right to
And-
religion. You have the right to whatever you want to choose, right? Now, obviously, the problem is whenever it's actively being fought against, right? So, like, one religion is actively being targeted consistently.
Yeah.
And it's not Muslims, it's not Islam, it's not Judaism, it's not communism.
Not
which is-
Hinduism,
because
it's-
communism's a religion too.
Right. It's
You
state worship.
And LGBTQism, you could say. This is my cat, guys. But freaking, ow. No one's pushing against those religions. They're pushing against Jesus.
Right.
pushing against Christianity,
And-
and you just have to wonder why.
You know, the separation of church and state in the First Amendment, that's often used as a pejorative, you know, an insult, or not an insult, but an argument against Christians in government. They don't use it because there's all these people that want to that want Congress to establish Christianity as a natural religion. Like, not very many people want to do that. Usually, when people use that argument, they're using that to fight against Christians in government. What they're really saying is, I don't want Christians in government. I want only secularists, only atheists, only communists, only
Well, you see, that's the problem, because atheism is a religion too.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
secularism.
Atheism, secularism, whatever you want to call it. You're worshiping either you're worshiping the world
Or yourself.
and what's in it, or yourself. Exactly. Yeah. You think you're better than God, you know, stuff like that. You're worshiping. No matter what in your life, you're worshiping something, and I think that's a lot of people don't realize that. You know it. No matter what, like, you know, you could be an atheist and you're still worshiping yourself, or you're worshiping the state, or you know, or your idol is Billie Eilish, or you know, your idol, like Billie Eilish is my idol. Like, think about what you're saying. Idol?
Yeah.
That's crazy. You know, new idols are different than old idols, in my opinion. I think that whenever you say like, oh yeah, even Michael Jackson, which I rock with Michael Jackson, but
Mhm.
if Michael Jackson's my idol. I'm sorry, bro. Let me get her out of here. If Michael Jackson's my idol, that's a problem. Jesus should be my idol.
And, you know, the states, like I was saying, the states are so like rabidly Christian. I mean, like extremely Christian. I was trying to say radically, really, but rabidly. Like, you know, many states during the time of the Constitutional Convention and all that whole time period, they banned Catholics, Jews, and Quakers from voting,
Damn.
and atheists, because atheists you can't trust. That's what they believe. Atheists, you can't trust them because their oaths don't mean anything if they don't believe in God, right? Jews, well, they don't believe in the same God as us. So,
Same thing, yeah.
yeah. So like, what God are you making an oath to?
Yeah.
When it comes to what was the other ones? Quakers. I don't know. I actually don't know why they were so anti-Quaker. They were. very
Yeah,
anti-Quaker.
Quakers, I mean, they really don't seem like they did anything wrong. You know what I
Well,
mean? Like,
I guess they're kind of close to atheism, to be honest. They're
Really?
very.
I thought they believed in Christ and, you know, God. And,
It's barely,
oh.
to be honest. Like they're bordering, you know, but they're all right. But they're teetering, you know.
Are they better or worse than Mormons?
Better, yeah. They at least believe in Christ, yeah.
Okay.
And then the last one was Catholic. They banned Catholics from voting because Catholics, not every state did this, but a lot of them did, because Catholics were it's foreign influence from Rome.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
You know, John Locke, he believed that you couldn't trust Jews or Catholics.
you're not wrong, you know? You're
yeah,
not wrong.
they have good reasons for it. So, but
Well,
obviously,
the thing
like,
is you don't trust Catholics, but
good night, Bobshi.
good night, Bobshi. You don't trust Catholics, but the Catholics have the majority of the history, you know what I mean, and the tradition and all that.
I wouldn't say so.
Really?
No.
All the Latin and, you know, just all the since Constantine, you know, like.
They have traditions. I just don't think they have the most. I mean, I think everybody's basically equal.
Mm.
Like, for example, I would say the Episcopalian Church, or at least the Anglican Church as a whole,
Yeah.
has been around since AD 30.
Is
Or AD 50.
Baptist Anglican?
No.
What's the difference? I
So
thought
they're-
Anglican was just Protestant.
No. So Baptists are what you would call dissenters,
Okay.
because they dissented from Anglicanism. They split off of us. So the modern day Baptists come from a group called the Anabaptists, which split off from Anglicans. It's a whole mess, but
Yeah, it sounds like it. Damn.
basically they had some kind of disagreements and they split off from us. Anglicans are English Protestants.
Okay.
Protestantism is a whole movement. It's like 4 different churches.
Yeah. But baptisms are Protestant, right?
Baptists?
Or Baptists are Protestant?
I wouldn't say so, because they don't come from the Protestant Reformation. They come from the Radical Reformation, which came after. But they're considered Protestant usually. Yeah, I wouldn't classify them as that.
Gotcha.
Well, anyways, what was I saying? So, Anglicans, I would say that our traditions start in like the 50s AD, which is about the same time that the Roman traditions start. About the same time. Because we had the tin trade came to Britain, and with the tin trade came Christianity.
Huh.
the first churches in England. Excuse me. in
Yeah, I'm
Britain.
getting tired.
Yeah. They were built in like the 50s, 60s AD. And and there's a legend that Joseph of Arimathea, who was the man who owned the tomb Christ was buried in.
Yeah.
He's a rich Pharisee, but he was secretly a Christian.
Really?
Yeah, there's an old legend that he came to England, specifically, I believe, Glastonbury, and there's a church there that claims that was a church that he built, that he founded.
Wow.
But there's a legend that he came there and he had the Holy Grail with him. That's where that comes from, and he left it there for him. And he did a lot of miracles. Like he would take the Holy Grail and he lift it up, and like a bush would raise from the ground. And there's a bush there today at that church that they claim is the same bush. They say it never died. It's always been alive.
That's pretty cool.
Is that true? Who knows? But it is true that Christianity reached there in that time. We just
Yeah.
don't know who did it. We just know
Well-
it was tin traders. And Joseph of Arimathea was a tin trader.
It's just like that the story of the Roman guard who apparently stabbed Jesus
Yeah, it's like
and got the blood in his eyes, and all of a
Legionarius or
sudden,
something like that.
all of a sudden he could see or something, and like
It was, the blood in the water splashed on him and he became a Christian.
yeah, and he died because he wouldn't submit to the Roman. It was a cool story. It's not 100%. We don't know if it's 100% accurate, but
Right. Or like here's a fun Christmas story, which who knows if it's accurate? Probably not. At the Council of Nicaea, Saint Nicholas of Myra, who's Saint Nick, he apparently punched or
I
slapped.
thought that was confirmed.
No, it's a rumor really, but
Oh.
it's fun. So people like to say it's confirmed,
Yeah,
But
no, I
he
thought-
apparently slapped or punched Arius, which was the heretic
Yeah.
at that council.
What I heard is he punched him, and then they jailed him and stripped him of his robes, and then in the morning they came and they found him in his robes, and they said that was divine intervention, and he clearly was justified.
I haven't even heard the rest of that story. I just know it's claimed. Some sources claim that he punched her, but it's not verified.
Interesting.
But
Well, I think we're gonna call this here, guys. We really appreciate you. Merry Christmas. Thank you for being so kind to my brother here. And yeah, God bless you all. Merry Christmas.
Merry
and
Christmas. I hope we can do this again on New Year's.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you again on New Year's, and if not, see you in 2026. Got anything last words?
No, I would say Merry Christmas. Go to church tomorrow, and that's about it. Have a good dinner with your family.
Passover, Christ is born. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
I'll take it.
Amen.